So my name is Gray Starlight, and I was 7 years old. According to everyone around me, I was born into one of the most powerful families in the world. To most people, that sounded like a dream, but to me, it was just home. Our mansion was so huge, I still found new rooms every time I wandered around, and the servants spoiled me way more than necessary. Sometimes it felt embarrassing, but I couldn't deny it made me happy. I walked toward the training grounds, metal clashing, echoing through the estate. There was my older sister, Amy, her sword moving with insane precision even at 10 years old. Beside her stood Astrid, her instructor and one of Mother's most trusted knights. I sat under a tree and watched. Eventually, Amy noticed me, her serious expression vanishing instantly. She ran over, ruffled my hair, and asked how her amazing big sister performed. I said the best, obviously. Astrid sighed about being spoiled too much, but Amy just puffed out her cheeks. He was her little brother. End of discussion. Watching them bicker made me laugh. This was normal for us. Peaceful, warm, comfortable. When training ended, Amy grabbed my hand. Mother was waiting. Mother rarely had time to eat with us because of work, so whenever she did, it was special. There she was, Seraphina Starlight. To the outside world, one of humanity's strongest. But to me, simply my mother. She looked up from her documents. "You two are late." Amy scratched her head. We trained longer. Dinner passed peacefully. Amy talked about training while Mother listened, occasionally asking if I'd finished the book she gave me. Simple conversations like this happened every day. Nothing extraordinary, yet I cherished every moment. After dinner, Amy challenged me to a board game. I lost horribly. She laughed proudly. 100 years before I beat my genius sister. Mother laughed softly, and we stopped because her laughter was rare. The evening passed peacefully. The next morning, everything changed. A splitting headache, vision blurred, world spun, darkness. I opened my eyes. Countless memories surged. A small apartment, a modern city, school, friends, a speeding car, impact, death, an entire lifetime that didn't belong to this world. The name Leo escaped my lips. Not unfamiliar, mind. When the pain subsided, I remembered. A life before Gray Starlight. A life as Leo Ashford. Darkness. Countless memories flowed through my mind. A lonely apartment. A crowded classroom. A birthday cake meant for one. A speeding truck. Then another life. A luxurious mansion. Mother's embrace. Amy's teasing. Sword lessons. Magic. Laughter. Two completely different lives collided inside me, refusing to separate. For a moment, I couldn't tell who I was, Gray Starlight or Leo Ashford. No, the word escaped unconsciously. They're both me. Slowly the chaos settled. The memories intertwined, becoming one existence. I had never become someone else. I had always been Gray Starlight. Leo Ashford's memories weren't a replacement. They were my previous life, buried deep until today. Now, they had awakened. My past, my present, both part of me. The pain faded. I opened my eyes to my room's familiar ceiling. Before I could think further, a maid cried out, "Young master is awake." The hallway became chaotic. "Inform Lady Seraphina. Call young miss immediately." I blinked. Was I unconscious for that long? Seconds later, the door burst open. "Gray." Amy rushed toward me and wrapped her arms around me tightly. "Thank goodness you're awake." Her voice trembled. Her eyes were slightly red. Had she been crying? I awkwardly patted her back. "I'm okay. I only had a strange headache." She pulled back and glared. "Don't ever scare me like that again." She hugged me again, this time much more gently. Mother entered, walking calmly. Her expression remained composed, but I noticed the details, tension in her shoulders, exhaustion beneath her calm eyes. She had been worried. "How do you feel?" "My head hurts a little, but I'm all right." She studied me for several seconds, then quietly released a breath of relief. She placed her hand on my head. "Good." Just one word, yet I felt how much it carried. Amy still held my arm, afraid I might disappear. A warmth spread through my chest. In my previous life, no one had ever worried about me like this. Now I had people who truly cared. "I'm sorry for worrying you." Mother shook her head. As long as you're safe, nothing else matters. Amy nodded. I've been unconscious for 2 days. I silently promised to protect this family's happiness, no matter the cost. Mother asked if I remembered what happened. I told her just an unbearable headache. Then everything went black. Mother studied me, her crimson eyes searching. She'd thought of poison, a hidden attack, an unknown curse. As the starlight heir, I already had enemies. But the boy before her was still the same Gray. Still safe. Eat lunch with Amy today. When Gray eats with family, he finishes his meal. Alone, he barely touches his food. Amy's eyes lit up, and she rushed out happily. Mother told me to rest, that she'd summoned Evelyn to examine me. She gave me one last reassuring look before leaving. The moment I was alone, the memories surged forward like a dam breaking. I accepted them. Fragments resurfaced. Faces I'd forgotten, moments I'd buried. Then everything returned. Completely. Leo Ashford's memories merged fully with me. So this is what I was missing. Everything I had learned, experienced, lost, it all returned. And what I discovered shocked me to my core. Once Mom and Amy left, I waited for the door to shut and let out the breath I'd been choking down. Finally, I've been holding back this flood of memories, not wanting them to see me losing it. But alone now, I close my eyes and let it crash back. Another lifetime's worth. A tiny apartment, a sad solo birthday, school, a truck, books everywhere. And one thing stood out above everything else. A novel. Some fantasy I'd burned through way too many late nights on. I started cross-referencing with Gray's life. The Starlight family. Mom. Amy. Names, faces, world history. Everything matched. My heart hammered. This world was from that novel. Cold sweat trickled down. If my memories were right, this peaceful life was going to become a war zone. Invading races, fallen kingdoms, millions dead. And the Starlight family was right in the middle of it. I needed to remember everything. Those memories could be my biggest advantage. But no matter how hard I dug, only fragments remained. Some protagonist who climbed to the top, found power-ups, had women falling all over him. A harem novel. I still don't know why I read that stuff. Actually, it wasn't even for the protagonist. It was the world itself. Fantasy mixed with tech that made my old world look prehistoric. VR pods, holographic watches, dungeons, magical beasts, ancient ruins. The mysteries underneath the forgotten history. That's what kept me hooked. Romance parts? Skipped most of those. But here's the problem. I couldn't remember details. Years had passed. Forcing it just gave me headaches, and half-remembered stuff could lead me into bad decisions. Whatever. If the memories were there, they'd come back. A few minutes later, Amy bounced in with her usual grin, trailed by maids hauling food trays. The smell hit me like a truck, the non-lethal kind. Gray, today's your favorite. You haven't eaten in 2 days. She served me herself, picked all my favorites, shooed the maids out. First bite, and I was gone, food vanishing like it was going extinct. Amy barely touched her plate, just sat there watching me with an amused smile. I reached for seconds and, tap, she flicked my forehead. Ow, you little glutton. 2 days without food, and you're going to stuff yourself? Start slow. Hey, you're the glutton. I eat normal. Unlike someone who eats like a starving ghost every meal. Her eyebrow twitched. Dangerous smile incoming. Want to repeat that? Cold sweat. Instant regret. On second thought, I may have exaggerated. A tiny bit. She burst out laughing. You never learn. I grinned. We kept eating. Through the whole meal, Amy barely ate. Just watch me. Sis, why do you keep staring instead of eating? Because you're too cute. I nearly choked. What? I said you're cute. My face went up in flames. Sis, you're embarrassing me. She laughed, ruffled my hair. I've always thought you were cute. You just never believed me. I think you're the only person in the world who says that. Then I'll keep saying it until you accept it. Defeated, I kept eating. She finally picked up her own food, smile never fading. Another knock. 2 women walked in. Mom with that quiet, I run everything energy, and Evelyn, the family physician. Chestnut hair, gentle green eyes, the kind of presence that just calms you down by existing. Mom's blank face softened a tiny bit seeing us eating together. Almost smiled. Almost. Evelyn came over, all warmth. "Hello, Gray. Remember me?" I nodded. "I do." She laughed. "You used to cry every time I gave you medicine." Amy immediately lost it. "See? I told you. I was 7. That doesn't count." Amy, grinning. "It absolutely counts." Evelyn checked my pulse, eyes, breathing, then ran warm manna through me. Felt weirdly nice. Head still hurts a bit. Some memories feel fuzzy. Totally normal. You hit your head when you collapsed. No serious injuries. Dizziness clears in a few days. Otherwise, perfectly healthy. The tension evaporated. Amy exhaled like she'd been holding it for hours. Even Mom's shoulders dropped. Lasted a second, but I caught it. She'd been worried. "I'm glad," Mom said quietly. Evelyn started packing up. Rest for a few days. No training. No exhausting yourself. And absolutely no staying up late reading books. Amy pointed at me. "I told you. I only did that once." 3 times, Amy corrected. "You counted." "I always count." Even Mom couldn't hide her smile. Watching them made me smile too. This family felt warm. Warmer than anything from my old life. Evelyn bowed out, and Amy immediately pivoted. "Gray, let's go shopping." "Shopping? You promised before you collapsed. You be my personal clothes hanger." She grinned. My wonderful little brother. Chilled down my spine. I started pulling the blanket over myself. "Oh, I just remembered something important." "Oh, no, you don't." Amy yanked it back. "You promised." A starlight never breaks their word. "But I can't even remember." "That sounds like a you problem." "That's unfair." "I know." Mom spoke up. "Amy, stop teasing your brother." Then to me, "Gray, rest 2 more hours." And, "I'm sorry. I've been so busy with family affairs. Haven't had time for either of you." Amy latched on her arm. "It's okay, Mom. We know you work hard for us." I nodded. "Don't worry about us. We'll have plenty of chances." Mom patted our heads. "Thank you." Amy beamed. "Then it's settled. Borrowing Gray for the afternoon." Mom chuckled. "Very well. Don't tire him out." Amy saluted dramatically. "Yes, ma'am." Then to me, eyes sparkling, 2 hours. Then we're leaving. After Mom left, I turned to Amy with a meaningful look. "How about I get ready in an hour and a half?" "Why are you looking at me like that?" "If I take an hour and a half, we still leave at the same time. Because you'll still be getting ready. I've seen how long it takes you. Figure I should give you some extra time." Thump. She knocked my head. "Ouch. What was that for?" "What did you just say?" "You little brat." "Say it again." "I dare you." I was only speaking the truth. Honesty is a virtue. "So now you're calling your sister slow?" "No, no. I'm saying you're very thorough. You want to look perfect." She snorted. "At least I don't walk around looking like I just rolled out of bed." "Ruffle my hair." "Honestly, Gray, you'd be hopeless without me." "See? This is exactly why I said we should leave later." She cracked up. "You're impossible. But I like this version of my little brother much better." Amy sighed now. Her sword cut through cold air. Slash. Again. Frost mana coating the practice dummy in ice before shattering it into sparkly pieces. Everyone in the mansion knew the one rule: never interrupt Amy's training. So when hurried footsteps came up behind her, she didn't even turn around. Didn't I tell everyone not to disturb me? "I'm sorry, young Mississippi, but this couldn't wait." Amy turned. Young maid, breathless, head bowed so fast she might faceplant. This girl wasn't the type to break rules for nothing. Young Master Gray suddenly collapsed. Blank. Her mind went completely blank. She didn't wait for more. The floor cracked under her feet, and she was gone. Sprinting through the mansion, servants scattering. Got there, and Mom was already at the bedside. Gray, pale, motionless. "Gray, what happened? Is he hurt? Who attacked him?" Questions flying before Mom could answer. Mom stayed calm. "He collapsed. No external injuries." Physician examined him. Her ruby eyes narrowed. But if someone was responsible. Temperature dropped. Killing intent leaked for an instant. Maids trembled, then gone. "Stay with him. I'll investigate." Amy sat beside him, held his hand. "Idiot. You scared me." She'd always thought he was too kind. Smiled at everyone, even when they underestimated him. Sometimes she wondered if he smiled too much. Hours passed. Mom came back. Nothing. No poison, no curse, no attack. Just collapsed. Then a maid burst in. "Young master has awakened." Amy was running before the sentence finished. There he was, sitting up, confused ruby eyes. The crushing weight on her chest vanished. She rushed forward and wrapped her arms around him. Didn't care who was watching. He froze, then awkwardly patted her back. "I'm okay, just had a headache." "Idiot." Squeezed once more, then let go. His face was all embarrassed. "Cute." "No." "Focus, Amy." Mom stepped in. Gray answered questions, looked totally normal. But something about him felt different. Not bad, just different. As long as he was smiling, that was enough. Then she had a very important idea. Shopping. Gray blinked. "What?" "You promised." "I don't remember." "Too bad." "That's unfair." "I know." "Perfect." She slipped out to prep lunch, ordered every dish he liked, carried his tray in herself. First bite, and he forgot everything existed. Ate so fast she almost laughed. Instead of eating, she just watched him. Cheeks puffing, little unconscious smiles. How could someone be this adorable? She almost pinched his cheeks. Almost. Then he reached for seconds. Tap. Forehead flick. "Ow. What was that for?" "You little glutton. 2 days without food. You'll hurt your stomach." "You're the glutton." "I eat normal." She raised an eyebrow. He pointed dramatically. "You eat like a starving ghost." Very slow, dangerous smile. "Repeat that." Confidence gone. "I choose life." She laughed. Rest of lunch was peaceful. Mom was smiling, Gray was smiling, and so was she. Maybe this was all she really wanted. A normal afternoon with her family. Mom bounced off to handle Starlight family business. Amy went to get ready. And finally, sweet silence. I leaned back and let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding for 2 lifetimes. Which wasn't far from the truth. 2 lifetimes of memories crammed into one brain. Some belonged to Gray Starlight, some to Leo Ashford. Now, they were all mine, tangled together like someone dropped 2 playlists and hit shuffle. This world matched a fantasy novel I'd read back when I was Leo. Or close enough. I remembered fragments, a protagonist, an apocalyptic future, alien invasions, ancient civilizations underground, powerful ruins, secrets scattered through history. The protagonist himself? Blur. Couldn't picture his face. Forcing it just gave me headaches. This wasn't a novel anymore. This was real life, and vague plot summaries weren't going to cut it. I needed to get stronger. Not for glory, just to protect the people who mattered. Mom, Amy, anyone who genuinely gave a damn about me. This life? I'd protect it. Got up, grabbed a black hoodie and gray pants from a wardrobe full of clothes that cost more than Leo ever dreamed of. Showered, checked the mirror. Jet black hair, ruby red eyes, fair skin. Gray had definitely won the genetics lottery. Still felt weird seeing a stranger's face that was somehow mine. Thanked the maids, headed out. Servants greeted me with relieved smiles. Apparently my collapse had freaked people out more than I realized. Knocked on Amy's door. "You actually came early?" She looked genuinely shocked. "I thought I'd have to drag you. I figured I'd give you plenty of time. I know how long you take to get ready." Silence. "What did you just say?" Bonk. Her knuckles on my forehead. "Ouch. You little brat. Are you saying I take forever?" "I didn't say that. You implied it." "Maybe. Fashion takes time. You boys wouldn't understand. You're proving my point. Keep talking. I'll make you carry every shopping bag today." I sincerely apologize. Too late. She giggled, and I couldn't help smiling back. In my old life, I never had this. No siblings, no one waiting for me. Now I had all of it. She finished, did a little spin, grabbed my wrist. "Let's go. Don't think about running away." "Yes, Your Highness." We headed downstairs. Mom was waiting, looked us over, gave a small nod. "Be careful. I've arranged for someone I trust to go with you. She'll keep you safe." Amy grinned. "We'll be fine, Mother. We'll be back before evening," I added. Mom's expression softened. "Enjoy yourselves." A woman approached. Long black hair, amethyst eyes, posture so perfect she looked like she'd been 3D printed by a how-to-stand-properly machine. Years of serious training radiated off her. She bowed. My name is Selena Blackwood, personally recruited by Lady Seraphina, sworn to the Starlight family. I'll be responsible for your safety today. I smiled. Good to have you, Miss Selena. Amy nodded. Glad to have you. We said goodbye to Mom and headed out. An elegant carriage with the Starlight crest was waiting. Amy climbed in first, then me. Selena took the seat across from us, eyes never stopping their scan, even after we started rolling. Amy caught me staring. Don't mind Selena. She's always like this. Selena, stone-faced. My duty is to ensure your safety. Amy just smiled. I know. Then to me, how are you feeling? You haven't been outside in a while. My memories were still scrambled. I knew I'd visited the city before, but it was all foggy. Today felt almost like my first time seeing it for real. Feeling much better. Want to see everything. And try lots of different food. Amy laughed. There it is. My little foodie. New food will be first on your mind. That's not true. I'm also curious about everything else. Your amazing big sister will show you all the best places. Actually, I want to explore a little by myself. She blinked, then crossed her arms with an exaggerated huff. You've become surprisingly bold today. Fine. I won't interfere with your grand adventure. But if you get lost, I'm carrying you back. 10 minutes later, the carriage stopped. Amy threw open the door, and I stepped out. Eyes widened. The city was alive. People with shopping bags, merchants shouting deals, blacksmiths hammering glowing metal, mana-powered street lamps, holographic ads above modern stores, horse carriages sharing roads with sleek man-engine vehicles. Fantasy and tech side by side. Nothing like anything I'd ever experienced. So this is the capital. People glanced at us as we walked. Whispers about young Miss Amy Starlight, the heir. Some stepped aside. Amy acted like she didn't notice. Beside me, she was just my big sister. Gray, want to eat something first? Your wonderful big sister is treating. Really? Let's see what they have. I pointed at a food stall. The stall had everything. Fresh juice, candy, grilled meat, pastries, barbecue skewers. The smell grabbed me immediately. I want the barbecue. 3, please. Fresh skewers, steam still rising. I took one, handed the other 2 to Amy and Selena. Selena looked surprised. For me, it'd feel weird if you were the only one not eating. Amy smiled. Exactly. Go ahead. After a beat, Selena took it. Thank you, young master. First bite, juicy, smoky, perfectly seasoned. Simple, but incredible. 15 credits total. Amy already paid with her wrist device before I could react. So, where to next? Amy asked. Too many choices. I have no idea. I'll leave today's adventure to you, sis. Her eyes lit up. I've been waiting for you to say that. Grabbed my hand and started pulling me through the crowd. I laughed, just going along for the ride. A simple outing like this made me happier than expected. Maybe this was what having a real family felt like. After demolishing those skewers, Amy's eyes lit up. Let's buy you some new clothes. And today, your big sister is in charge. Bad idea. I knew it immediately. We hit a big clothing store nearby. Amy marched to the owner. Clothes for my little brother. At least 3 sets. Money isn't an issue. Highest quality. The owner recognized her instantly. Young Miss Amy, and this must be your little brother. Quite handsome. We'll find clothes worthy of such a cute young gentleman. I tried to intervene. Sister, I prefer simple clothes. Black or white is enough. Amy and the owner exchanged amused smiles. Amy patted my shoulder. What would you know about fashion, Gray? Leave everything to us. A chill ran down my spine. Measurements taken, I was led deeper into the store. I spotted a few simple black ones I liked. Just as I reached for one, Amy stopped me. No, pick something else. This one. My nightmare began. For the next hour, I was a human dress-up doll. This color matches your eyes. Too plain. This one makes you look cuter. Try this instead. Over 10 outfits purchased. I was mentally dead. The owner had fully joined Amy's team. Selena stood guard, expressionless, but I swear her lips twitched. She was enjoying this. After the clothing store, we hit weapon shops and magical artifact stores. Since I hadn't awakened my affinity yet, not much for me. I just admire the displays. By the end, I was wrecked. Amy and Selena looked as fresh as when we started. Unfair. Sister, I'm tired. Can we go home? Amy softened. All right, but let's have lunch first. Strolling through the streets, a big restaurant caught my eye. Steam drifting from the entrance, spice aroma filling the air. A wooden sign, hot pot restaurant. Sister, let's eat there. It smells amazing. Amy's eyes sparkled. Looks delicious. Let's go. She practically skipped inside. To outsiders, Amy Starlight was a sword prodigy, cold and untouchable. But around me, she acted like an ordinary older sister. I preferred this version. We found an empty table. Selena remained standing nearby. Just as Amy reached for the menu, I stopped her. Selena, why don't you eat with us? Come join us. Amy nodded. That's right. Stop standing there. Selena looked genuinely surprised. After hesitating, she nodded. Thank you. She quietly sat beside us. Amy picked up the menu. What kind of broth? Spicy or normal? Half spicy, half normal. I have no idea how spicy the food here is. When the server arrived, we ordered the broth, dishes that paired well with spicy hot pot, and drinks. Ice cola for Amy and me, beer for Selena. We leaned back and waited. Thanks for bringing me into the city today, I said. She smiled warmly. Anytime. Judging from her smile, she'd enjoyed today just as much as I had. The servers returned with a massive steaming hot pot, then arranged plates of sliced meat, vegetables, mushrooms, tofu, noodles, seafood, and dipping sauces around it. Amy and I swallowed at the same time. Looking at that broth, I couldn't help smiling. In my previous life, meals like this were always lonely. No family, no siblings, no one to share a table with. But now, I had a family who genuinely cared. No matter what happened, I'd protect this happiness. Gray. Amy flicked my forehead. Stop staring at the food. I was just thinking. Oh, don't tell me. Were you thinking about a girl? I nearly choked. I'm only 7. Amy burst into laughter. I'm joking. I was thinking, if Mother were here, this would be even better. Amy's expression softened. Next time, let's bring her. If both of us ask, she won't refuse. We exchanged identical, mischievous grins. Across the table, Selena watched silently. Taking the matriarch shopping, no one would dare imagine it. But these two, frighteningly high chance they'd actually pull it off. She quietly lowered her head. We began eating. Rich broth, tender meat, every bite delicious. A mischievous idea hit me. I quietly stole a slice of meat from Amy's bowl. Then another, and another. Amy noticed, but instead of stopping me, a dangerous smile appeared. She calmly picked up a large mushroom and secretly stuffed an entire chili inside before dropping it back in the pot. Selena saw everything. Just as she was about to warn me, Amy placed a finger over her lips. Selena looked away. Meanwhile, I remained blissfully unaware. I spotted the mushroom, picked it up, dipped it in spicy broth, and popped it in my mouth. For a second, nothing. Then, hot. My tongue burst into flames. I grabbed my cola, drank in one gulp. Water. My tongue. Amy lost it. Ha ha. You actually fell for it. Even Selena's lips twitched. It was a trap. Amy nodded proudly. You kept stealing my food. Lesson taught. Before I could escape, she pinched both my cheeks. Ow. Sister. Pinch. 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 You deserve it, little thief. Nearby, several drunken men frowned. One stood up, but before he moved, clang. Selena's sword shifted half an inch from its sheath. Terrifying pressure filled the room. The men froze, spotted the starlight emblem on her uniform, turned pale, and hurriedly left. Selena sheathed her sword like nothing happened. Amy and I barely noticed. So, learned your lesson? Amy asked. I'll get revenge someday. I'll be looking forward to it. For the rest of the meal, I tried sneaking spicy food onto her plate. Every attempt failed. Without looking, she moved each piece back. Soon a mountain of spicy food sat in front of me. I stared at it, then slowly lowered my chopsticks. Some battles weren't worth fighting, especially against a devil disguised as my beautiful older sister. Amy laughed. Smart choice, little brother. One day I'll win. She smiled. I'll be waiting. Maybe losing wasn't so bad. After our hot pot battle ended, we stepped out together. Amy stretched lazily. So what next? Go home or look around. I want to buy something for Mom. Amy blinked. For Mother? I nodded. This is our first shopping trip together. I want to bring her a gift. Amy smiled softly. You really love Mother, don't you? Of course. She's always busy. I thought she'd be happy if we brought her something. She'll love anything you give her. Then a mischievous glint appeared. Next time, we'll drag her shopping with us. She'll probably refuse. Not if both of us ask. I know Mother. If it's for us, she won't say no. We exchanged identical grins. Behind us, Selena watched silently. Taking the matriarch shopping. If anyone else suggested it, she'd think them insane. But these two? Probably the only people capable of convincing Lady Serafina. We wandered and eventually entered an accessory shop. Glass cases showcased necklaces, bracelets, rings. My eyes landed on matching bracelets, friendship couple, family sets. One simple design caught my attention, a silver bracelet with a small star charm. Not flashy, just simple. I bought the entire set. Amy blinked. 4. I like the design, but there are only 3 of us. Then I'll keep the extra one. Maybe it'll be useful someday. Amy paid for all 4. Sister, give me your hand. She stretched it out. I fastened a silver bracelet around her wrist. The tiny star rested against her skin. It looks beautiful. I'm glad. I put on my own. Only Mother's remained. As evening approached, we returned to the carriage. Amy kept bringing up the hot pot incident. Gray, your face when you ate that chili was priceless. Can we forget about that? No, never. She laughed. You thought you could steal food from me without consequences. I'll get revenge one day. I'll be waiting. The carriage arrived at the mansion. A maid bowed. Welcome back. Is Mother available? Amy asked. I'm afraid not. The matriarch is handling official matters. Please inform Mother we've returned. And tell her Gray has something for her when she's free. We returned to my room. Amy opened her spatial ring. Shopping bags began appearing on my bed. 1, 5, 10, 20. Soon my bed disappeared beneath a mountain of bags. I stared blankly. Sister, why is everything on my bed? She smiled brightly. Because if I leave them anywhere else, you'll ignore them. This way, you'll be forced to organize everything. You're evil. Hee hee. If you don't clean them up, you can sleep with your new clothes tonight. Fortunately, she eventually helped. Together we placed the clothes in the wardrobe. Today had been fun, not because of the shopping or food or gifts. Because for the first time in a long while, I'd simply enjoyed spending time with my family. Amy had taken complete control of the room. Rather than helping, she lay on my bed looking like she owned the place. Gray, she said lazily, doing things yourself builds character. You'll be awakening in a few months anyway. Time you learn to take care of yourself. I paused, holding a new shirt. Then perhaps you should practice what you preach instead of lying there like a professional slacker. Amy didn't seem offended, rolling onto her side. Don't be such a crybaby. I trained all morning. This is my well-earned break. She placed a hand against her chest. Do you really think your big sister is lazy? I'm one of the most hard-working people here. I stared flatly. Yes, a lazy one, and a glutton. Silence. Amy slowly sat upright. Her eyes narrowed dangerously. Gray, what did you just say? A chill ran down my spine. I was merely stating facts. Amy lunged. She grabbed my head and ruffled my hair until it looked like a bird's nest. Stop. I just fixed it. No chance at all. After a minute of merciless bullying, she released me. I sighed, trying to smooth my hair. Just wait. Once I awaken, I won't let you bully me anymore. Amy laughed. Then awaken first, little brother. She poked my forehead. Until then, I'm still the older sister. Let's go see Mother. Amy's smile softened. All right. She hopped off the bed. Let's go. We left side by side and headed toward Mother's office. I was drowning in paperwork. Branch family reports, trade agreements, military deployments. Every sheet needed my attention. Every decision carried the weight of the Starlight family. I signed document after document, probably looking perfectly composed to anyone watching. But my thoughts were elsewhere. Gray. Amy. Ever since Gray collapsed, I couldn't focus. Evelyn said he was physically fine, and I trusted her. Best physician I knew. But he was my son. Worrying was the job description. I leaned back. The office was silent, a silence I'd grown way too accustomed to. When had I last shared a meal with my kids? Taken them outside? Couldn't remember. I could crush rebellious nobles, negotiate with kings, command thousands of warriors, but I couldn't spare time for my own children. Gray never complained. Neither did Amy. That somehow made it worse. Evelyn walked in, took one look at me, and called me out for worrying too much. Unlike everyone else, she didn't treat me like some untouchable matriarch. To her, I was just Serafina. I asked about Gray. She confirmed he was healthy. Headaches and memory confusion were normal after hitting his head. I admitted I was still worried. She laughed, said I always became just another mother the moment my kids were involved. After she left, Selena came in. I assigned her to accompany the children to the city. Highest priority, protect them no matter the cost. She knelt, swore on her life. That loyalty was exactly why I'd recruited her years ago. Then Gray's voice at the door. Both kids walked in looking refreshed. I asked Gray how he felt. He smiled, much better, completely fine. His complexion looked healthy, so the worry eased. I told him Selena would join them. He was polite as ever. They left. I stared at the empty doorway and muttered, "Have fun," to nobody. Hours passed. Selena gave me the full report. Shopping, clothing stores, Gray being forced to try on countless outfits, Amy teasing him, weapon shops, hot pot, sibling arguments. I found myself smiling during a mission report. Then Selena hesitated. One more thing. Gray had mentioned me several times. He wanted to buy me something. He hoped we could spend more time together. He'd searched for the right gift and bought matching bracelets. One for himself, one for Amy, one for me. Those words hit harder than any battlefield report. Even on his first outing, he'd been thinking about me. I was staring out the window at sunset when Gray and Amy walked in. Gray's face lit up. "Mom!" He ran straight at me, arms around my waist before I could react. I froze, then hugged him back. Amy sat across from us. I asked how the outing went. Gray immediately said his sister bullied him. Amy protested. He listed his grievances, 20 outfit changes, tricked into eating a brutally spicy mushroom. Amy laughed and pointed out he kept stealing food from her bowl. I couldn't stop smiling. The office suddenly felt alive. Then Gray remembered something. He grabbed a small gift box and handed it to me. A silver bracelet with a tiny star. Amy and Gray both wore identical ones. Matching bracelets. He said it'd be nice if we were the same ones. Such a small gift, yet more precious than anything I'd ever received. I fastened it on. Amy said it suited me. Gray agreed. I looked at the bracelet, then at my children, and smiled for real. I silently promised myself, no matter how busy I got, I'd make more time for them. Because before I was the matriarch, I was their mother. By the time Amy and I left Mother's office, the sky was turning orange. We walked side by side. I had this dumb smile on my face. Mother liked the bracelet and wore it right away. Just remembering her smile made me feel weirdly happy. Amy glanced at me, asked what I was smiling about, said I'd been grinning like an idiot. I asked if she was calling me creepy after everything she pulled today. She said she only helped improve my fashion sense. I said she tortured me. She said she educated me. 20 outfit changes. She grinned. I looked adorable every time. I sighed. My real sister had finally shown herself, the devil behind that beautiful face. Around everyone else, Amy was elegant, cold, intimidating. Nobody who saw her now would believe she was the same person. I preferred this version. We hit the dining hall. Mother joined us. Amy exaggerated the hot pot incident. I tried defending myself. Temporary transfer of ownership, not stealing. I told Mother my sister tried to murder me with that mushroom. Even Mother couldn't hold back her laugh. The dining hall, usually so quiet, was full of laughter. I hoped it'd stay like this forever. After dinner, Mother rubbed my head. Sleep early. Training starts tomorrow. I was already beat. Amy stretched, and said she was looking forward to seeing how long I'd last. I told her to just wait. We said goodnight. Amy waved without turning around. Moonlight through the window. I lay in bed, looking at the silver bracelet. A small star. Simple. I liked it a lot. Tomorrow training would finally begin. The protagonist, the calamities, the gods. Worries for another day. Right now, my family was safe. Amy was laughing, Mother was smiling. That was enough. I fell asleep smiling. I woke up buzzing. Today was finally the day Mother would start teaching me. I still hadn't awakened. My body couldn't properly access the mana sleeping inside it yet. But that was getting closer every day. Elemental affinities, mana manipulation, superhuman strength. In just a few months, I'd step into that world. A maid came to tell me breakfast was ready. Mother wouldn't be joining. She was finishing work and would meet me at the training grounds. I got dressed in simple, comfortable clothes. Freedom of movement mattered way more than looking good right now. Amy was already in the dining room. She asked what weapon I wanted after awakening. I said I hadn't fully decided, but wanted to test different ones. Heavy weapons weren't my thing. Bows and daggers didn't interest me either. A sword, probably. I'd handled one before, and it felt surprisingly natural. Maybe the original body's owner had practiced with wooden swords, or maybe I just liked swords. Either way, they felt right. Amy approved. Mother was one of the strongest swordswomen on the continent. Couldn't ask for a better teacher. That was kind of the point. I stood up to head to the training grounds early. Amy asked why the rush. I said if I sat around any longer, I'd lose my motivation. She asked if I was admitting I was lazy. I shot back that coming from the person lying on my bed yesterday, like a queen giving orders, was rich. She said it was strategic resting and she'd trained all morning. I said I believe that when pigs learn to fly. She gasped dramatically. I escaped before she could retaliate. The main training grounds were enormous. Training dummies in neat rows, weapon racks with every kind of weapon imaginable, knights sparring, endurance exercises, the rhythmic sound of clashing steel everywhere. Nobody wasting time. I noticed a quieter section with higher quality equipment and a different atmosphere. I walked toward it. A knight blocked me. Restricted area, no confirmation of my arrival. Fair enough. I was about to wait when Mother's voice cut across the grounds. Stand down. Everything went silent. The knight nearly rattled out of his armor, turning around. Mother walked over, brushed dust off my shoulder, checked I was okay. Then she addressed everyone. She put her hand on my shoulder and announced I was her son, Gray Starlight, and she'd personally oversee my training today. A wave of surprise spread through the grounds. Every knight bowed in unison. Way more dramatic than I expected. Mother told me to come. Today we begin with my foundation. My heartbeat quickened. Finally, I gripped the wooden sword and recalled Mother's instructions. Feet, hips, core, shoulders, everything had to move together, not just my arms. I adjusted my stance and swung. The cut was smoother than before, still not powerful, but noticeably better. Mother nodded slightly, so my body was still stiff. She walked over and adjusted my shoulders, told me to relax. A sword wasn't something you forced, it was something you guided. I said I understood. She shook her head. I understood with my mind. My body hadn't caught up yet. Again and again, every swing felt slightly more natural than the last. Mother corrected every mistake immediately. Sometimes footing, sometimes grip, sometimes breathing. She never raised her voice. Every correction was precise. Amy showed up late, already in training clothes. Said she underestimated how long changing would take. Mother said she wasn't very late. Amy looked at me and asked if I'd already started. I laughed helplessly. I'd been corrected more times than I could count. She giggled and said Mother did the same to her. Mother told Amy she'd observe today and correct her own basics if they got sloppy. Then she explained that a cultivator's foundation determined everything that followed. Unstable foundation, everything built on it eventually collapsed. That's why she was personally handling this stage. Once the foundation was set, daily training would go to an instructor she'd already chosen, currently away on assignment. Until then, Selena would supervise physical conditioning. Then she asked why I wanted a sword. I said swords weren't the strongest weapon. Spears had greater reach. Bows excelled at long range. Daggers were deadly in the right hands. But a sword felt balanced. Could attack, defend, adapt to almost any situation. Versatile. And when I imagined myself fighting, the weapon in my hand was always a sword. Mother studied me for several moments, then nodded. Simple answer, but a good one. A weapon should be an extension of its wielder. If your heart rejected it, you'd never reach its true potential. She tossed me a practice sword, heavier than expected, a good reminder that my body still belonged to a 7-year-old child. She walked me through stance. Feet planted firmly, balance centered. Don't lean too far forward or backward. Never rely solely on your arms. She adjusted my foot position, pushed my shoulder back, lowered my elbows. Small corrections that made everything feel noticeably more stable. Then she told me to swing. I brought the sword down. Felt wrong. No weight, no stability, awkward and empty. She pointed out the problem immediately. I was swinging with only my arms. Power started at the feet, traveled through the legs, hips, core, then finally reached the arms. Every part of the body had to move as one. A sword wasn't wielded with strength alone. It was wielded with coordination. I nodded seriously. This time I planted my feet, shifted my weight, rotated my hips, engaged my entire body, and swung again. I took a breath and swung. This time I used everything, feet planted, hips rotating, core following, arms guiding. The difference was immediate. More weight, more stability, more force. Not perfect, but undeniably better. Not enough. So I swung again, and again. Each strike taught me something. At first my body refused to cooperate. Shoulders stiffened, footing shifted, balance fell apart whenever I tried adding power. Mother said nothing, just watched. When she spotted a mistake, a few precise words fixed it. Lower your shoulders. Don't grip so tight. You're leaning forward. Let your hips move first. By swing 50, something clicked. I stopped feeling like I was swinging a sword and started feeling like my body itself was swinging. The sword just followed. Exhausting, sure, sweat rolling down, arms trembling, but I couldn't stop smiling. First time in both my lives, I truly trained with a sword, and I was improving. Mother told me to stop thinking of the sword as a weapon. It was an extension of my body. Unstable body meant unstable sword. Wavering resolve meant wavering blade. Then she asked what I expected from a sword without intent. It became nothing more than decoration. She said it was time to ask myself why I sought strength. Why did I want power? Memories surfaced. My previous life. My current life. The helplessness of losing everything. The cruelty of greed-driven people. Monsters threatening innocence. Without strength, you couldn't even protect the people beside you. I looked up. My resolve was to become strong. Strong enough that I never had to watch someone precious disappear again. To protect myself, my family, the people precious to me. To stand in front of anyone who threatened them. My voice didn't waver. Amy watched quietly. Even Selena paused. Mother studied me with something I hadn't seen before. Not disbelief, but recognition. Like she hadn't expected that conviction from someone my age. She nodded. Good. That was a worthy resolve. This world wasn't kind. There'd come a day when I'd have to choose between protecting what was precious or losing it. But those were burdens for my future. For now, she pointed her sword at me. Continue. Training resumed. Swing, correct. Swing again. Each correction was another step forward. Another weakness eliminated. Selena was told to correct anything Mother missed. Hours passed in a comfortable rhythm. When Mother finally called rest, exhaustion hit me like a truck. Arms ached, palms stung. Lifting the sword felt impossible. Amy walked over with a smug grin, pointed out my arms were shaking. I said that was because I was actually training properly. She placed her hands on her hips and said she was simply talented. I told her that made her incredibly annoying. She gasped and said she'd take that as a compliment. Mother just watched us with a gentle smile. Not the matriarch's smile, just a mother's smile. Later, I asked Mother for something unexpected. Could she arrange cooking lessons once training settled down? Everyone stared. Amy blinked. Even Selena looked surprised. I said it was an important life skill, and I thought it'd be fun. Mother agreed to arrange it. Amy immediately raised her hand to help. I said she could be my taste tester. She froze in horror and screamed that I was trying to poison her. I said I hadn't even cooked anything yet. She said that's exactly why she was scared. Her dramatic declaration made everyone laugh. At the end of the day, Amy and I walked over to Mother and hugged her without a word. She stood still for a moment, then ruffled our hair. She said she was proud of us. Those words carried more weight than any praise. I realized that day wasn't just the beginning of training. It was another precious memory with my family. And somehow, those memories would become my greatest source of strength. After Mother left, Selena stepped in. Her teaching was calm and methodical. She corrected every mistake immediately. Misplaced foot, uneven grip, tense shoulder. No flashy techniques. No spectacular demonstrations. Just basics. Again and again. Then she said it before I even asked. Never chase flashy techniques before mastering your foundation. Unstable foundation, everything collapses. She said many people got impatient, sought quick power, forced breakthroughs. For a while they looked stronger, but eventually their own strength betrayed them. Power without control was just a burden. Those words stuck. I had no intention of rushing. Strength was to protect the people precious to me. If that meant months or years building the perfect foundation, so be it. I'd already lived one lifetime. Patience wasn't in short supply. Hours later, Selena called it. My arms were dead. Amy wasn't much better, quietly stretching while pretending nothing was wrong. I asked if she wanted a drink. She'd been waiting for me to ask. The kitchen was quiet. I grabbed a huge jar of orange juice from the fridge. Looked at Amy. She nodded. Then I looked at her expectantly. She blinked. I said she could get the glasses. She called me unbelievable. I shrugged. I already carried the heavy part. She muttered something and got the glasses. Small victory. We drank. Cold, sweet, refreshing. Heaven after hours of training. I said I felt alive again. Amy laughed. It was only basic training. I told her seriously I wasn't giving up. I decided to become stronger. If I couldn't endure the basics, I had no right to dream about protecting anyone. Her smile softened. She said she knew I'd definitely become strong. Said it so naturally, like she'd never doubted it. Then she pressed her cold glass against my neck. I nearly jumped. She cracked up. I called her impossible. She said she preferred adorable. After finishing, I carried both glasses to the sink. Amy said the maids could wash those. I said Mother always told us if you can do something yourself, don't leave it for someone else. Simple habits shaped who you became. Amy watched and said I'd make a decent house husband someday. I asked if I should throw the glasses at her. She laughed so hard she had to hold her stomach. We left still teasing. My arms ached, legs felt heavy, but none of it bothered me. For the first time in both my lives, training wasn't something I endured alone. I had a family beside me. A sister who teased me, a mother who watched over me, people waiting for me to come home. That warmth was something I never wanted to lose. After our juice, I leaned back and asked Amy what we were doing now. She said, let's take it easy, then grinned. After lunch, we could play on her new game console. Game console? That caught my attention. Memories from my previous life surfaced. Consoles, video games, countless hours in virtual worlds. I asked if we actually had something like that. Amy said of course. She'd only gotten it recently. She was excited to learn together. My curiosity instantly replaced my exhaustion. This world had mana technology, and even though people couldn't fully use it before awakening, the tech had developed in fascinating ways. She led me to the recreation room. A sleek device sat in the center with a circular projector creating a large floating holographic display. Way better than anything from my previous life. Amy activated it and a long list of games appeared: strategy, puzzle, adventure, survival, simulation, combat. Dozens of options. One caught my eye. A cooperative survival adventure where you explored ruins, gathered resources, crafted equipment, and fought monsters together. I pointed at it. Amy agreed. Character creation. I finished mine fast. Simple male avatar, black clothes, plain mask, done. Meanwhile, Amy was still adjusting tiny details. Hair, eyes, accessories, clothes, changing colors again and again. I stared at her for 5 minutes. Told her this was a survival game, not a fashion contest. She turned to me with complete seriousness and said presentation mattered. I said we were going to fight monsters. She puffed out her chest. If she was saving the world, she was going to look cute doing it. I said I'd underestimated her priorities. We entered the game. A vast green forest with ancient stone ruins, birds overhead, whined through the leaves. Incredibly realistic. Neither of us understood the controls, so we spent most of the time pressing random buttons and accidentally discovering mechanics. Then we got competitive. Amy found iron. I picked it up first. She demanded it back. I said possession was 9/10 of the law. She huffed and said she'd find something better. Minutes later, she found a treasure chest. Opened it. Before she could grab the reward, I walked over and took everything. She called me a thief. I said she left it unattended. She started chasing me through the forest, screaming. Neither of us noticed the enormous monster sleeping nearby. It opened one eye, then another. We stopped, looked up very slowly. The monster looked down. We ran, barely escaped with our lives. Reached a safe zone and collapsed, then burst into laughter. Couldn't stop for several minutes. Time flew. My stomach growled. Already lunchtime. We took off the headsets. I said next time I was definitely stealing her loot again. She pointed at me dramatically. Next time she was stealing everything before I even saw it. We headed to the dining hall, still arguing about who cheated more. Mother was already seated. She noticed we were in a good mood. Amy immediately pointed at me. Gray stole all my loot. I pointed back. She chased me across the entire map. Mother listened quietly, a small smile appearing. She said she was glad we enjoyed ourselves. We both nodded. Lunch was simple, warm, delicious. Mother asked about training. I said it was difficult, but I was beginning to understand the basics. Every swing felt slightly better. She looked pleased. Said never rush your foundation. Strongest buildings were built one brick at a time. Amy said she'd continue training with me. The conversation shifted to Amy complaining about my loot stealing and me insisting everything was legally acquired. Mother just listened with that faint smile. Simple laughter, simple arguments, simple happiness. Those ordinary moments felt more precious than anything else. No matter what happened in the future, I'd protect this, no matter the cost. Days passed quietly after Mother handed daily training to Selena. Morning training, meals with Mother when her schedule allowed, evenings of games and endless arguments with Amy. Our routine settled into something comfortable. In free time, Amy and I would play console games, wander gardens, sneak desserts from the pantry, argue over ridiculous things. Without realizing it, those moments brought us closer. We'd visit Mother sometimes. Everything got quieter around her. To the world, she was the cold, flawless matriarch. To us, simply our mother. Strict, busy, sometimes hard to approach. But every time she spared time for us, it reminded me how much she cared. It had been nearly a month since training began. Only 1 month until my awakening. That thought lingered constantly. Once I awakened, everything would change. So before that day, there were things I still wanted to learn. After morning training, I told Amy I was going to the kitchen to learn cooking. She stared. When I mentioned it to Mom, she thought I was joking. I said I'd never been more serious. She asked why. We had servants. I explained that at the academy, I wouldn't always have servants. Later, I'd probably travel. I didn't want to depend on others for something as basic as food. Plus, more skills meant more options. Amy's face lit up. She clasped her hands. Wonderful. Her little brother was becoming her personal chef. I asked who said I was cooking for her. Her smile froze. I said I was learning for myself, not to feed a certain glutton. She went word by word. What did I just call her? I answered without fear, a glutton. She grabbed my head and rubbed my hair aggressively. I said violence was the final argument of the defeated. She said she could still hit me. I chose life and walked toward the kitchen. The head chef was genuinely surprised. A young master from one of the world's most powerful families asking to cook wasn't common. I said I had Mother's permission. I wanted basics, knife skills, ingredients, preparation, everything. Not shortcuts. She suggested starting with a single dish. I shook my head. She smiled and led me to a prep table. She handed me an apron. Amy cracked up. The chef said I had to learn knife handling first. The knife felt completely different from a sword, lighter, shorter, balanced closer to my hand. Precision instead of power. She demonstrated clean, smooth cuts. I tried. First attempt was terrible. Uneven slices, some thick, some paper thin. Amy peeked over and said those vegetables died for nothing. The chef just smiled. Again and again. Each attempt got better. I started comparing cooking to swordsmanship. Both required precision, control, punished unnecessary movement. Different tools, same principle. That made learning easier. Time flew. Eventually, I was preparing simple ingredients with reasonable consistency. The chef said I learned quickly. Amy said I looked so serious cutting vegetables, like preparing for war. She called me Chef Gray. I told her not to. She called me Chef Gray again. Hopeless. In my previous life, cooking had been a necessity. Simple meals, silent rooms, lonely nights. No one waiting, no one to share with. But now everything was different. I was learning because I wanted to, because one day I wanted to prepare meals for the people I cared about. For my family. For the first time in both my lives, learning something as ordinary as cooking actually made me happy. Months passed. I trained every day, sometimes learned cooking, sometimes spent time with Amy and Mother. Mother wasn't always present. Family duties consumed most of her time, but whenever she had a gap, she spent it with us. Sometimes she'd observe, training silently, offering short, precise corrections. Those moments mattered. Not loud affection, but real. Until finally, the day arrived. Tomorrow was my awakening. Excitement was there, but fear was stronger. What if my talent was low? What if I awakened without an element? I knew my family wouldn't abandon me. But deep down, I wanted to meet expectations for myself, for the future I wanted to build. At dinner, Mother asked if I was excited. Amy asked how I felt. I answered honestly, excited but scared. If I awakened low talent, my future would be harder. I wanted a strong foundation. Talent wasn't guaranteed, partly influenced by lineage but not controlled by it. Weak families could produce extraordinary awakenings. Strong bloodlines could produce average results. Unpredictable mix of luck and genetics. Mother said calmly, but firmly, it didn't matter what talent I awakened. I was her son. She'd trained me to become strong. Nobody would easily stand against me under her protection. Hard work didn't betray you. Amy nodded. No matter what, I was her brother. She had my back. Something warm settled in my chest. The tension softened. Halfway through, Amy asked about my cooking. When was she tasting it? She'd heard the head chef praising me. Mother was curious too, with a rare, faint smile. I sighed. I was still learning, hadn't made a complete meal yet. Once I could, they could try it. Mother called me little chef. Amy said they'd wait for my masterpiece. That night, I couldn't sleep. Awakening. Tomorrow. The thought kept repeating. Eventually exhaustion won, and I drifted off. Woke up at 6:15. Showered, changed, headed to the dining hall. Both Mother and Amy were already waiting. Mother asked if I was ready. I nodded. She led us through the manor to a separate room. At the center, on a pedestal, sat a smooth, round stone. The awakening stone. Rare, valuable, tightly controlled by powerful families. Most people traveled to guilds or temples. My family had one privately. Of course they did. Mother told me to place my hand on it and call my status. Energy surged through me, warm, then cold, then something heavier. It spread through my veins, chest, mind. For a moment, my entire body felt like it was being rewritten. I said status. A glowing blue screen appeared. Rank, talent, elements, everything. I scanned it quickly, then decided to play a joke. I lowered my head and said it wasn't good. Amy panicked. Mother's expression shifted, just a fraction. Then I smiled. Kidding. SS plus talent. 3 elements. Amy smacked my head. Don't scare us like that. Mother sighed, looked relieved. Amy asked what elements. I demonstrated the first, a small snowflake. Amy's eyes lit up. She had that one too. Mother nodded, good affinity. I tried the second element. Something went wrong. A sharp metallic taste, then blood. It spilled before I could react. Vision blurred, body lost strength. Everything went dark. The last thing I heard was Mother's voice. Gray. After Gray requested training, I decided there was no better time. I paused my work and called Selena. I assigned her a long-term task: train my son until his awakening. Guide him, correct him, ensure a proper foundation. No danger, no combat. She accepted without hesitation. When we arrived at the training ground, I immediately sensed something wrong. A guard stood in front of Gray, not protecting him, restraining him. My eyes narrowed. I was there before I could take another step. The pressure around me dropped. The guard froze. I said, "Explain." He stammered about finding Gray near the restricted area, trying to remove him for safety. He stopped while my gaze shifted. I turned to Gray. He was unharmed. That was all that mattered. I told the guard to leave. He nearly collapsed in relief. I led them in. Gray looked around with curiosity. Amy followed, already acting like she belonged. I told him to choose his weapon. He didn't hesitate. Sword. Good. I handed him a wooden sword. First swing was weak. Too much arm, no structure. Again. Better, but incomplete. He was learning quickly, aware of his mistakes. I told him a sword was an extension of your body. Power came from coordination: foot, hip, core, arm, one movement. Hours passed. I left them under Selena and returned to work. But my thoughts drifted to Gray. Still young, but his determination was real. That mattered more than talent. Days turned into weeks. Their bond strengthened. The day before the awakening, Gray was unusually quiet. He admitted he was worried about his talent. Amy immediately said it didn't matter. He was still her brother. I agreed. He smiled and thanked us. The next morning, we gathered in the awakening chamber. Gray placed his hand on the stone. Mana surged. Then he stepped back with a downcast expression. My heart tightened. Amy started saying it was okay. Before she finished, Gray smiled. He was joking. SS plus talent and 3 elements. Amy hit him. I didn't stop her. He deserved it. He demonstrated ice first. Amy was thrilled, same element. Then he tried the second. His body reacted violently. Blood spilled from his mouth. My mind went cold. I caught him before he fell. Called for Selena and Evelyn. No thoughts beyond one. He was my son, and he would not be lost. After Evelyn arrived, I explained what happened. Gray showed us his elements, tried the second one, coughed up blood, went unconscious. I put him to bed and called her. My voice carried worry I couldn't hide. Evelyn listened without interrupting, then went straight to his bedside. Amy was already there, sitting close with a tense expression, her usual playfulness completely gone. Evelyn placed her hand over Gray's chest, channeling healing mana. After a moment, she spoke calmly. Don't worry. His body simply couldn't handle the sudden strain of his new power. Still too weak to support it. She'd stabilized him. He'd wake in about 10 minutes. Then she tilted her head. This was unusual. What kind of power caused this reaction? Was his talent unstable? She added softly that even so, having more than one element was rare. No need to worry about his future. I exhaled. She said once he woke, we should ask him to demonstrate properly so we could guide him. Gray finally opened his eyes. Blinked, confused, looked around. Asked what happened. Amy jumped in and explained everything in a rushed summary. Gray listened, pieced it together, then sighed. Said he guessed he underestimated the space element. My eyes narrowed. Space element? Evelyn leaned forward with interest. Gray explained. His first element was ice, second was darkness. Evelyn nodded, but then she frowned. If darkness caused the reaction, that was strange. Darkness affinity normally didn't harm its user. Gray shook his head. It wasn't darkness. When he tried to use his third element, that's when he got injured. The room went silent. Even Amy stopped moving. Evelyn asked what his third element was. Gray answered simply, space. Nobody spoke. Evelyn blinked. Then her voice dropped. That explained everything. Space affinity was one of the rarest and most unstable attributes. It didn't just require mana. It distorted the environment itself. With his current body, forcing it to manifest would cause internal backlash. Until he reached at least F rank, he shouldn't attempt to use it again. Gray nodded immediately, thanked her. Evelyn softened at his politeness. Told him to call her Aunt Evelyn. She'd known him since birth. He said it properly, and her expression melted. Ruffled his hair. Called him a polite child. Then she looked at me. Said I'd given birth to two little monsters. Their potential was unimaginable. The word monsters made my chest tighten. I didn't like hearing my children described that way, even as praise. But I understood what she meant. I closed my eyes, exhaled, nodded. Inside, something warmer settled. Pride. Quiet, steady pride. Gray's perspective now. After waking up, I saw my sister beside me, Mother standing near the bed, and Evelyn, the doctor who'd checked me when I first got those strange memories. Amy explained everything. How I'd forced the space affinity, how my mana drained at abnormal speed, how my body collapsed. Pieces of memory returned. Right. I tried to use space energy without properly controlling it. No wonder my body overloaded. I was about to check my status when Evelyn cut in. She needed to confirm my elements properly. I hesitated. She was more curious about my element than my condition. But I didn't mind. Better to be direct. I called my status in my mind. Most of my stats were in the G range, which I expected. Mana and mana capacity were both G, still low due to my body and lack of growth, even with SS plus talent. Having 3 affinities at my stage was already abnormal. Ice, darkness, and space. In this world, there was no system hunting darkness users. It was rare, but not forbidden. That was a relief. I explained my situation. First ice, then darkness. Evelyn narrowed her eyes at darkness. I shook my head. That wasn't what caused the incident. It happened with my 3rd affinity. Space. Evelyn's expression shifted to genuine surprise. She straightened up and analyzed it. Space affinity was extremely rare and unstable. With my current body, I couldn't handle it. The mana strain was far beyond what a G-ranked vessel could endure. I was lucky it didn't damage my core permanently. Until F rank, I must not attempt it again. I thanked her. She sighed and said, "Call me Aunt Evelyn." I glanced at Mother for confirmation, then agreed. Her strict doctor presence faded instantly. She ruffled my hair and called me a polite child. I didn't resist. It felt strangely comfortable, like being treated not as some rare anomaly, but simply as a child. Aunt Evelyn kept praising our talents. Then she turned to me with a teasing smile, asked about my ambition. Maybe become a great hero? I didn't hesitate. I had an ambition, but it wasn't to become a hero. She asked why not. I said I respected heroes, but could never be one. They stood for sacrifice, fought for everyone. But I was selfish. I only cared about people precious to me. If I had to choose between saving 1,000,000 strangers and saving my sister, I'd save Amy without a second thought. A true hero would sacrifice someone precious to save millions. I couldn't do that, so I wasn't suited to be a hero. Aunt Evelyn said that was deep for some my age. But she didn't think I was selfish. I wasn't thinking only about myself. I was thinking about my family too. Maybe I simply wanted to become a hero for the people I loved. I froze. Even Mother and Amy looked surprised. Then a small smile appeared on my face. Yeah, maybe that was true. I looked at Mother and Amy and said firmly, my goal was to become strong enough to protect my family and eliminate anyone who threatened them. She called me a good boy, ruffled my hair, told Mother she was lucky, then got dramatic, asked if I considered becoming her son instead. She was all alone. The temperature plummeted. Mother and Amy gave her identical deadpan looks. Evelyn laughed awkwardly, said she was joking. I smiled and refused. I was the lucky one, born into a wonderful family. My mother and sister were the best. Couldn't be a better family than mine. Everyone froze. Then Evelyn screamed that I was too adorable and pulled me into a suffocating hug. I could barely breathe. Mother walked over, grabbed her by the shoulder, pulled her off, asked if she was trying to suffocate my son. Couldn't hide her smile, though. Mother escorted Evelyn out. She turned dramatically, said she'd steal me someday. Mother said, not happening, and closed the door. After she left, Amy sat beside me quietly. Her playful smile was gone, replaced with worry. Told me not to use that dangerous ability again. Voice soft, gentle, filled with genuine concern. I smiled and spread my arms. Look, I was perfectly fine. I even turned around to show her no injuries. Instead of relaxing, she puffed out her cheeks and pinched my face. Call me a dummy. Said she was worried. I laughed and said sorry. Then she wrapped her arms around me. Not a strong hug, but like she was afraid I might disappear if she let go. I quietly returned it. Mother watched with a gentle smile, then said now that I'd awakened, it was time to choose my weapon. I'd already trained and developed enough understanding to decide. Asked if I was ready. My eyes lit up. Yes, Mom. She led me deeper into the estate, past guarded corridors and defensive formations. We stopped before enormous black doors with silver stars. The family treasury. The doors slowly opened. I stepped inside and was stunned. The treasury was enormous. Weapons lined every wall. Spears, axes, bows, great swords, daggers, shields. Armor emitting faint mana. Ancient scrolls behind barriers. Rare ores and treasures under magical lights. A dragon's hoard. But I wanted one thing. A weapon. I walked straight to the swords. Long swords, rapiers, sabers, tontos, katanas. I picked them up one by one. Rapier, too light. Long sword, balanced but lacking. Tonto, too short. None were wrong, but none felt right. Until I noticed it. In the far corner, a single katana. Obsidian black sheath with faint crimson patterns flowing like veins. Not flashy, but it had an indescribable elegance. Like it had been waiting for someone. My feet carried me toward it. I wrapped my hand around the hilt and felt something. Not warmth or cold. Familiar. Like something acknowledged my presence. I drew the blade. Beautiful. Deep crimson, almost crystallized blood. Razor edge shimmering with obsidian black sheen. Under the lights, it almost looked alive. A few light swings. Perfect. Weight, balance, grip, everything natural. Like the sword had always belonged in my hand. This was the one. I showed Mother. She examined it. A flash of surprise crossed her face. Said excellent choice. This wasn't ordinary. It was a blood-bound weapon. Recognized only a single master. Rejected everyone else. I needed to place a drop of blood on the blade. Once accepted, the bond was permanent. Nobody else could wield it. Blood-bound weapons grew alongside their owners, evolved, awakened unique abilities. They were lifelong companions. I stared at the katana, a weapon that grew with its owner. It no longer felt like an ordinary object. It felt alive, waiting. Mother told me to complete the bond. I pricked my fingertip on the edge. A crimson droplet fell onto the blade. For a moment, nothing happened. Then it vanished, absorbed completely. A faint crimson glow spread across the weapon, tracing every pattern. A soft humming came from the sword. Gentle, welcoming. The glow faded, but something had changed. An invisible thread now connected me to the sword. Mother said it accepted me. Many people had tried over the years. It rejected everyone. For years it acknowledged nobody. But today it chose its master. I smiled and told it I'd be counting on it. No reply, but I felt like it had already answered. This was only the beginning. The moment my blood touched the blade, I felt something change. A connection. No, more than that. Like another existence had awakened and acknowledged me. Then I felt it. Hunger. Immense, terrifying hunger. Not for mana. For blood. For battle. For death. It lasted a moment before sinking beneath the surface. This sword desired slaughter. But I didn't sense hostility. Instead, acceptance. Like it had finally found its master. Mother said the weapon had accepted me. After bonding, its information would appear on my status. She told me to check if it awakened an ability. I called my status. The familiar blue screen appeared. The sword was ranked G, with growth potential tied to mine. The ability was called Life Steal. Whenever the blade wounded an enemy, it devoured their blood and life force, converting it into vitality for me. Deeper wounds and stronger opponents meant greater restoration. Fresh blood was absorbed through the crimson veins and transformed into healing energy, could restore flesh, stamina, even fatal injuries eventually. But at my rank, only minor wounds for now. True power remained sealed until we both evolved. A regenerative ability that could eventually heal fatal wounds? Terrifying. No wonder I'd sensed such bloodlust. It literally fed on blood and life. And the sword was unnamed, waiting for me to name it. I told them about life's steel. Mother and Amy exchanged surprised glances. Mother said, incredible ability, my luck was exceptional. Amy agreed, it was ridiculously amazing. Mother asked if I needed a sword art. My eyes lit up. Yes, I needed a proper katana art. She asked what rank and kind. An SSS rank sword art flashed through my mind. But I discarded it. Unimaginably rare, would take years to master. Instead, I said I wanted katana arts that were easy to analyze and dismantle. Several of them. Mother's curiosity deepened. She'd expected me to ask for the strongest. I explained. Every sword art reflected its creator. If I devoted myself to one person's style, I'd shape my swordsmanship around their preferences. I wanted to learn fundamentals, dismantle different arts, understand their strengths and weaknesses, then create my own style. It wouldn't be the strongest overnight, but I could keep improving it my whole life. Because it'd be mine. I didn't think someone could become a true powerhouse following another person's footsteps. I needed to carve my own path. Mother asked where I'd learned so much. I didn't panic. Said I read books from the family library, swordsmanship, combat techniques, power systems. Fascinated me. Some was my own deduction. Asked if I was wrong. She said no. Most of my deductions were surprisingly accurate. She'd arranged the sword arts. Once Astrid returned from her mission, she'd personally teach me katana techniques. My eyes widened. Aunt Astrid was coming back. I hadn't seen her in months. She was Mother's second-in-command, one of the family's pillars. Despite her strict personality, she cared deeply for Amy and me. Treated us like her own children. Then I remembered I needed to name my katana. Mother said, choose carefully. This sword would accompany me for the rest of my journey. I looked at the blade. It felt like it was waiting for my answer. I could still remember that overwhelming hunger through our bond. Not hostility, instinct. The blade longed to drink blood, grow stronger with every battle. Strangely, I wasn't repulsed. I felt like I understood it. After a few moments, I settled on a name. Raised the crimson blade. Eclipse. Just like a real eclipse. Cast everything in a shadow. Cut down everything in its path. The sword felt complete. Like naming it had finally finished its existence. Amy asked what I named it. Mother watched. I said Eclipse with an embarrassed smile. Asked if it suited the sword. They considered. Mother nodded, it fit. Amy grinned. Sounded really cool. I let out a small sigh of relief. Amy clapped her hands. Let's head to the training room. I blinked already. Mother stepped forward. Today was my first day after awakening. Today we begin properly. Awakening wasn't the end of growth, merely the beginning. She told us to follow. We headed to the training grounds. This time it didn't feel like ordinary practice. It felt like my first true step into this world's power system. Mother glanced back at my excited expression. For a moment, the cold, untouchable image vanished. A gentle smile appeared. To outsiders, she was the feared matriarch. To us, simply our mother. We entered the private training room. Mother told me to draw Eclipse and try cutting a reinforced training dummy in half. I unsheathed the blade. The air grew heavier. Stance settled naturally. One step forward, firm grip, steady breathing. I swung. A clean horizontal slash. The blade bit into the dummy easily, but my physical strength wasn't enough to carry it through. The sword lodged halfway. I frowned. Not enough. Mother said good. I blinked good. She said my improvement was already noticeable. If I'd reinforced my body with mana, I would have split it cleanly. She'd intentionally had me attack without mana, so I could understand my current limits. She told me to come closer. Time to learn how to properly utilize mana. Since I could already sense mana, we'd start with internal control. She placed her hand near my chest, told me to close my eyes, focus inward, feel the mana flowing through my body. I sensed countless tiny streams everywhere. She told me to guide them, gather all the mana into a single point around my heart. This would eventually become my mana core. Don't rush. If anything went wrong, she'd stop it. I trusted her completely. Instead of forcing the mana, I guided it. At first, it felt like redirecting a raging river. Mana surged everywhere, refusing to gather. But I didn't panic. Little by little, I adjusted. Instead of controlling by force, I persuaded it. Gradually, the currents began flowing toward my heart. I whispered I could feel it, asked what shape the mana core should be. Mother said a vortex, most stable structure. I paused. A vortex was efficient, stable, practical, but it didn't feel right. Something deep inside stirred. An instinct. A small smile appeared. I said no. I had something better. Mother and Amy looked at me curiously. I slowly opened my eyes. A black hole. So Mom just stared at me after I told her my mana core was basically a black hole. Like, yeah, Mom, a black hole. She asked if I was serious. I nodded, closed my eyes, focused on the mana around my heart, and started building. Not a vortex. That was a standard move, and honestly, boring. Instead, I pictured a single point. Tiny, silent, but pulling everything toward it like gravity had a personal grudge. A mana core that mimicked a black hole's whole deal, constantly sucking in surrounding mana, compressing it, refining it. It fit me perfectly. Darkness, space, even ice with its chill stability. All in, I shaped it slow. Every strand of mana, placed carefully. When things got unstable, I fixed them. Again and again. Time basically stopped meaning anything. Then the final piece clicked. This massive pulling force erupted from my chest. Mana rushed in, and suddenly everything was smooth. Orderly. Balanced. Like my insides finally got their act together. Opened my eyes. Told Mom I did it. She checked me over, sensed the mana flowing through me, and got this look. Not quite shocked, but close. Said my circulation was extremely stable. High-quality core. She didn't fully get the structure, but knew it wasn't normal. Didn't ask questions, though. Just moved on to the next lesson. Mana reinforcement. Spread the core's mana through your whole body. Strengthen everything evenly. She said at my level that was all I could handle. Eventually, I'd learn to target individual muscles and joints. The key wasn't dumping mana everywhere. It was precision. More precision meant more power. I tried it. First couple attempts felt like trying to pour water uphill. Mana kept going unstable whenever I forced it. So I slowed down. Third try, everything clicked. Warm energy flooded my whole body. Arms, legs, torso. Every muscle woke up. I felt lighter and stronger at the same time. Clenched my fist. Amazing. Mom told me to hit the training dummy again. I grinned. Drew Eclipse, dropped in a stance, swung clean. The blade went through the reinforced dummy like it was butter. Top half slid off and crashed. Perfect cut. I lost my mind. Mom, it split in half. Then I got that look on my face. The one where I want something annoying. Mom sighed immediately. She knew that look. I asked to join the family recruitment training. Incognito. No special treatment. Just as a regular recruit. I wanted to fight people my own age for real. She agreed. Of course she did. Then Amy jumped in. She was joining too. Sounded way too fun to miss. Mom sighed again. Said we'd infected each other. Amy pumped her fist. Mom pinched the bridge of her nose and said her kids were going to be the death of her. But she was smiling. Rest of the day was more training. Mom kept teaching me mana control fundamentals. How to circulate efficiently, minimize waste, reinforce without straining. Every lesson was simple but invaluable. She told me mana wasn't just power. It was control. The gap between a novice and a master wasn't how much mana they had. It was how efficiently they used it. I soaked up every word, every correction, every demo. My strides got cleaner, sharper, more refined. And with every hour, I could feel myself getting stronger. Not because I'd awakened, because I'd finally taken my first real step toward mastering what was inside me. And I couldn't help but smile. This was only the beginning. After forming my mana core, everything felt different. Power flowed through me like a slow, endless tide. Muscles lighter but stronger. Senses sharper. Even breathing pulled mana in naturally. Incredible feeling. But I didn't get distracted. Training under Mom was worth more than just getting stronger. People would sell everything they owned for one day of lessons from Seraphina Starlight. Here I was getting private instruction whenever she had time. That was beyond priceless. So I shoved every unnecessary thought aside and went all in. Control, foundation, everything. Then curiosity got me. Pulled up my status screen. Mana and mana capacity both hit F rank, up from G. Just forming the core had massively boosted both quality and quantity. Physical attributes settled at G rank. Not explosive, but solid. Like a real foundation finally existed under me. New entry 2. Mana Beginner Mastery at 21%. Appeared naturally after forming the core. Same way Swordsmanship Mastery had shown up. So Mastery wasn't system-granted. It was acknowledged after hitting a certain level of understanding. More practice meant more mastery. Simple. And the core itself. Even without the screen, I could feel it. A silent black sphere rotating deep in my chest, pulling mana in, compressing it, refining it, circulating it non-stop. It didn't just store mana. It devoured it. A miniature black hole. Perfect fit for my space affinity. Couldn't hide the excitement. Told Mom my mana hit F rank. Mana capacity 2. Awakened mana beginner mastery at 21%. Swordsmanship at 98%. Word just poured out. Mom and Amy exchanged looks. Even Mom looked slightly impressed. Already? She studied me. Said my core developed faster than expected. Asked if I wanted to push through the last 2% of swordsmanship mastery today. Thought about it. Temptation was real. One more session probably would do it, but I shook my head. Didn't want to rush everything. If I completed everything right away, nothing left to look forward to. Rather let it hit 100 naturally next time. More satisfying that way. Mom sighed. Said I was an unusual child, but the corner of her lip lifted. She approved. Then she dropped the news. Astrid was coming back tomorrow. Mission concluded. She'd personally oversee my combat training from now on. Mom would go back to her usual responsibilities. Hearing Astrid was coming home lit me up. She wasn't just Mom's subordinate or one of the family's strongest knights. She was family. When Mom was buried in work, Astrid was there with us. Taught Amy her first sword forms. Fixed my posture every time I held a wooden sword wrong. Looked strict, acted serious, but quietly spoiled us both. If Mom guided our future, Astrid was there for all the ordinary days that made up our childhood. Mom watched me smile. Said she expected I'd be happy. Then got serious. Enough training for today. Remarkable progress. But don't let success make me careless. Power gained 2 quickly meant nothing if the foundation cracked. Patted my head. Told me to eat and rest. Mom told Amy her progress was excellent too. Amy grinned. Of course. Mom said she wouldn't join us for lunch. Had stuff to handle. Pulled both of us into a quick hug before leaving. Seconds. Quiet. Precious. Her footsteps faded, but the warmth hung in the room long after she was gone. Amy stretched. Asked if I wanted something cold. Immediately, yes. That was our thing after training. Kitchen first, cold drinks, then anything else. Walking through the mansion, I asked what she was having. Grape juice for me. She went with apple juice. Been craving it since morning. I'd get the glasses, she'd grab the drinks. Deal. Poured our drinks. Sat next to each other. Kitchen was quiet. Neither of us talked right away. Just enjoyed the peace. Took a sip, leaned back. Today had been wild. Awakened. For my mana core. Got eclipse. Learned body reinforcement. First real growth as an awakened person. And despite all that, wasn't mentally tired. Excited. Felt like my real journey had finally started. Staring at my drink, an idea hit. Raised my hand, gathered mana at my fingertips. Ice Affinity. A small crystal clear ice sphere formed. Dropped it in my grape juice. Clink. Amy noticed. Raised her hand, and several perfectly shaped ice cubes appeared. Every one identical. Smooth. Balanced. Dropped them in her juice. Clink. 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 I stared at her perfect cubes. Then my lonely little sphere. Sighed dramatically. Yours are way better. She smirked. Obviously. Then leaned closer. Said I was just freezing before compressing the mana evenly. Should compress first, freeze after. Shape be way more stable. Tried it. Compressed first, froze after. Second sphere was noticeably smoother. It worked. Amy smiled. See? Even outside training, she was teaching me. Didn't mind at all. Finished our drinks in comfortable silence. Sometimes moments like these were worth more than training. Said I was going to nap. Brain felt more tired than my body. Amy headed to see Mom. Waved. See you at lunch. Got back to my room, hit the bed. Just one short nap. Last thought before I was out. Hour later, knock on the door. Lunch was ready. Got up, washed my face, headed down. Amy already seated. Took you long enough. Fell asleep instantly. She said I had pillow marks on my face. Seriously? She burst out laughing. Just kidding. Don't scare me like that. She grinned. Lunch was peaceful. Chatted about training. Teased each other. Meals with family always tasted better. After lunch, Amy went back to training before Astrid returned. Me? The family library. Clear objective. Ice, darkness, and space. Every book on all three. Knowledge was just as important as talent. If I wanted to create my own spells, I needed foundations first. More knowledge meant easier to turn imagination into reality. Stepped inside. Old book smell hit me. Towering shelves packed with generations of Starlight collection. Quiet. Peaceful. Librarian spotted me, bowed, congratulated me on the awakening. Sounded genuine. Not just because I was the young master. She actually meant it. Told her what I needed. Eyes widened at the list. She smiled knowingly and went to work. Came back with a massive stack. Some yellowed with age, others nearly new. History, applications, weaknesses, mage journals. Quite a lot. She laughed. Should keep me occupied. Started with the fundamentals of ice affinity. Time disappeared. Ice wasn't just freezing. Real essence was temperature manipulation. Lowering thermal energy, controlling moisture, condensing mana into crystals. Walls, armor, movement techniques, slowing opponents by dropping temperature. Fascinating. Darkness next. Not evil like most people thought. Real nature was concealment. Absorption. Devouring. Fear. Silence. Shadow manipulation. More I read, more ideas popped up. Space books. Way fewer. Most incomplete. Some just theories. Authors openly admitted they couldn't fully understand space. One line grabbed me. Space isn't merely distance. It's the foundation all existence rests on. Reread that several times. Another said those who try to command space directly fail. Those who succeed learn to understand it first. Closed the book. Very interesting. Then a maid brought scrolls for Mom. Katana arts. 3 of them. Flowing moon style for smooth transitions. Silent wind for speed and precision. Crimson leaf for counterattacks. Didn't start practicing. Read every explanation, movement, principle, theory behind each strike. Like I told Mom, wasn't trying to copy someone else's style. Wanted to understand why each movement existed. Only then could I create something truly mine. Hours passed without noticing. Book after book. Scroll after scroll. Ideas connecting. Ice. Darkness. Space. Swordsmanship. Everything seemed separate, but felt like it could all become one. Leaned back, stared at the ceiling. Had to understand all of this. If I wanted to survive, protect my family, couldn't afford to stay ignorant. Knowledge, talent, hard work. None could be neglected. Opened the next book. Kept reading. Sun setting outside. But in that quiet library, I stayed completely absorbed. Woke up, and for a second yesterday, felt like a dream. Awakening, mana core, eclipse, ice, darkness, space. But I raised my hand, felt mana flowing, and knew it was real. Finally on the path of real strength. Could keep growing. For my family. Protect Mom. Protect Amy. Someday become the strongest. Then the darker thought. This world still followed the novel's future. The original protagonist was out there somewhere. Eventually he'd start his journey and rise to the top. If I stayed passive, history would play out the same. That bastard would take my sister. Use my family. I refused to let them become stepping stones in someone else's story. Clench my fist. If fate was written, I'd rewrite it. No fear. Just resolve. Got up, showered, changed. Today training would really begin. Breakfast with Mom and Amy. Peaceful. The kind of morning I hoped would never disappear. Mom asked my plan. Was I starting katana arts? Not exactly. Wanted to get familiar with my affinities first, understand how they worked, combine them with swordsmanship, experiment with mana control, maybe create offensive spells. The more I talked, the more excited I got. Mom smiled. Good. She wouldn't assign a magic teacher. Magic was something you had to understand yourself. Nobody could teach imagination. Imagination was the foundation of every spell. If I could clearly imagine an effect and had the knowledge and mana, I could create it. Only limits were comprehension and mana. Told me to create my own spells like I wanted my own sword style. That was the path to true strength. Asked if spells just happen when I imagine them. Basically, yes, but with limits. Try something way beyond my abilities, and the spell compressed itself into a weaker version. Concept stayed, but power scaled down until my body could support it. Like swordsmanship, could understand an advanced technique, but until the body caught up, couldn't perform it right. Then her face got serious. Do not use space affinity until every basic attribute hit F rank. No exceptions, not even storage space. Space put tremendous strain on body and mind. I wasn't ready. Rank wasn't just mana. Body, endurance, reflexes, control all developed together. Forcing space too early could seriously injure me. Nodded. Understood. Wouldn't touch it until F rank. Mom relaxed. Amy leaned in. Don't worry, she'd watch me. Wouldn't let me do anything reckless. Pounded her chest. She'd protect her little brother. I protested. Hey, who said I needed protection? Both of them laughed. Mom tapped my forehead. I protect myself someday. But for now, let my sister protect me a while longer. One day, I'd be strong enough to protect both of them. Those words settled deep. Quietly nodded. I will. Voice was soft. The determination behind it wasn't. After breakfast, Mom left for work. Amy and I headed to the training grounds. I bombarded her with questions about ice spears. How to form them, control trajectory, compress mana without instability, make the tips sharper. She answered patiently. Focus on the tip first, then reinforce the shaft. Try everything at once, and you'll lose control. Keep feeding mana after release. Cut your mana off the moment you throw, and it goes unstable. The spell stayed connected to the caster. She was actually an excellent teacher. Patient, clear, answered every single question. At the grounds, she went to sword training while I experimented with magic. Closed my eyes. Ice Affinity. Immediately felt the difference from yesterday. Mana core circulated constantly, making everything smoother. Mana gathered around my right hand. Cold air spread. Frost danced around my fingers. Focused on just the tip of the spear. Sharp, thin, dense. A crystal blue spearhead took shape. Kept feeding mana. Extended the shaft behind it. Used way more mana than expected. The construct trembled. Cracks spread. Adjusted the flow instead of forcing more in. Little by little, the cracks disappeared. Spear stabilized. Complete. Not perfect, but complete. Aimed at a dummy. Let's see how strong you are. Flick my wrist. Spear shot forward. Surprisingly fast. But halfway there, it started shaking. Mana maintaining structure went unstable. Hit the dummy and shattered into dozens of ice fragments. Dummy covered in frost, but still standing. So that was the problem. Structure collapsed after leaving my control. Formation wasn't the issue. Maintaining mana after release was. Instead of disappointed, I felt excited. Now I knew exactly where the flaw was. And once I understood the flaw, I could fix it. Needed more practice with ice. But first wanted to test darkness. Extended my hand. Completely different feel from ice. Heavier, denser, colder. Flowed slowly through my channels like it had a will of its own. Surrounding light dimmed when I gathered it. Darkness wasn't just absence of light. It had substance, weight, presence. Tried shaping a sphere. Resisted way more than ice. Mana kept trying to disperse. Instead of forcing it, I guided it. Little by little, it settled. A small black sphere floated above my palm. Barely apple-sized. But looking at it made me instinctively uneasy. Light bent around it slightly. Air felt heavier. So this was darkness. Unlike ice's cold, darkness radiated pressure. Oppressive. Silent. Almost alive. Released it at another dummy. Drifted forward slow. Much slower than the ice spear. But something unsettling about it. Air distorted as it traveled. When it hit, it didn't explode. Collapsed inward. Area around impact darkened briefly. Not completely, but enough to blur vision. Edges of the dummy went indistinct like reality itself had distorted, then dissolved into black mist that clung to the dummy before fading. Stared thoughtfully. Not much physical damage, but the effect wasn't meant to destroy. It interfered. Vision. Awareness. Reaction. If someone got caught in that darkness, even for a second their perception would be disrupted. In battle 1 second was enough. A swordsman only needed one opening. Darkness could create that opening. Got excited thinking about it. Darkness covering the battlefield. Ice attacking for blind spots. Eventually space tying everything together. Shook my head. One step at a time. Space was off limits until F rank. Ice and darkness were plenty for now. Across the field, Amy kept practicing. Katana dancing through the air. Each movement flowing into the next. Precise. Elegant. Powerful. Watched her for a moment, then looked down at Eclipse. Still had a long way to go. Yesterday, I'd awakened. Today, I'd taken my first real steps as a mage. But wasn't satisfied. Not even close. Strength wasn't about talent or rank. It was about mastery. Control. Countless hours refining every movement and spell. That was the path I wanted to walk. Not fastest. Not easiest. But the one I forged with my own hands. Tightened my grip on Eclipse. Faint smile. Let's keep going. Today was only the beginning. Thought about every way to use darkness, but my mind stayed blank. Only blinding opponents and smoke screens came to mind. Compared to ice, darkness felt way too unfamiliar. Could always ask Amy later since we both had ice. But before relying on anyone, I wanted to push myself first. Create every spell I could on my own. Then realized ice wasn't just offense. It worked for defense too. Ice walls, ice shields, protective barriers. All should be possible. Started with the simplest. An ice shield. Extended my hand. Imagine a round shield forming while pouring mana in. Nothing happened at first. Just a thin frost layer that faded. Frowned. Tried again. Adjusted the mana flow. Fragile layer started forming, but cracked before stabilizing. Shattered into tiny fragments. Again. Deep breath. This time paid closer attention to every detail. Instead of forcing the mana, guided it gently, shaping piece by piece. Slowly the mana responded. A small, shallow shield formed. Not large. Not sturdy enough to block a real attack. But it stayed intact. Started to understand it. Kept experimenting. Ice spikes. Blades. Needles. Small walls. Defensive barriers. Failure after failure. Some shattered instantly. Others consumed too much mana before collapsing. A few exploded into snowflakes. But every attempt taught something. Every spell improved my control. Every mistake became a lesson. Hours passed without me noticing. Then a notification. I'd acquired Ice Control, F. Stared at the screen for a moment. Then a huge grin spread across my face. Finally, after nearly a full day of experimenting, failing, and trying again. My first elemental skill. Only F rank, and I was still a beginner, but that didn't bother me. Skills could evolve. If I kept practicing, creating new techniques, refining old ones, I could eventually upgrade it. Nothing came easy. I preferred it that way. Completely exhausted. Not physically. Mentally. Mana nearly depleted, and creating spells all day drained me way more than sword practice ever had. But no regrets. Decided to check how much I'd improved. Pulled up my status. Rank hit G+. Will at F+. Strength and agility improved. Mana at F. Capacity F+. Charm still S. Intelligence C+. Luck still a complete mystery. Skills section wasn't empty anymore. Ice Control F. Immediately felt the difference. Ice Manipulation was smoother. Spells cost less mana. Maintaining them took less concentration. Not dramatic, but enough to clearly feel. Mana was recovering too, but after the entire day of experimenting, pushing further would only hurt efficiency. Amy was still practicing. Steady, precise swings. No wasted movement. Perfect discipline. Didn't interrupt her. That'd be disrespectful. Sat beside the training area and watched. Peaceful. The sound of her sword echoed rhythmically. Eyelids got heavy. Mental exhaustion caught up. Half asleep, waiting for her to finish. 15 minutes later, she finished. Noticed me sitting there half asleep. Mischievous grin. Silently coated one hand with ice. Tiptoed behind me. Reached toward my neck. The instant her freezing hand touched my skin. Launched down my seat. Violent chill down my spine. Spun around. Then heard giggling that turned into uncontrollable laughter. Amy clutching her stomach. You did that on purpose. She couldn't answer properly. You look too funny. Oomph. But things were different now. Before awakening, I could only accept her teasing. Now I had an element too. Coated both hands in ice. Cold mana gathered around my palms. Amy's laughter stopped. Eyes widened. Gray? Notice my grin. Gray, wait. Step forward. No. Another step. No, no, no. She backed away. You froze my neck. So now. Raise both icy hands. Your turn. Amy ran. Gray. Wait. You'll never catch me. Oh, really? Just wait until I do. Both your cheeks ice cold. Ha ha ha. You have to catch me first. Sprinted after her. Dashed around the training ground laughing and shouting. She was fast, but I refused to give up. Chase spread into the mansion courtyard. Servants watched with amused smiles. None surprised. We often argued over the smallest things, then chased each other around the estate. Just another ordinary day in the Starlight household. While chasing Amy through the courtyard, we spotted a tall woman walking toward us. Long black hair, sharp crimson eyes, subtle resemblance to Mom. Same raven hair, same crimson eyes, same noble bearing, but completely different impressions. Mom had elegance that made people lower their heads. Astrid radiated the confidence of a veteran warrior. Exceptional beauty, but countless battles had forged a calm, dependable aura. Second in command of the Starlight family. Mom's right hand. My aunt. Astrid Starlight. Amy immediately hid behind her. Astrid saved me. A raging beast is chasing me. What did you say? I got more annoyed. You started this. Tried to catch her, but Amy kept circling Astrid, sticking her tongue out. Can't catch me now. Astrid watched us with an amused smile. Finally raised both hands, placed one on my head and one on Amy's. Both of us stopped. All right. What happened this time? I pointed at Amy. I finished training first and waited. Got sleepy. Then she put an ice-covered hand on my neck. Amy puffed out her chest. Just waking up my lazy little brother. Astrid tried not to laugh. My indignant face versus Amy's innocent look. Too much. Shook her head. Told Amy not to bully me too much. Gently ruffle my hair. Told me to let it go. Amy got smugger. Stuck out her tongue. Blee. I puffed out my cheeks. Just wait. Next time won't let you get away. Both laughed. Astrid rubbed my head. My little gray. Grown quite a bit. Pinched my cheek. Even cuter. Couldn't help smiling. Been 7 months since she left on Mom's mission. She'd practically helped raise us. Strict during training. Gentle when we needed comfort. Reliable no matter what. Like another mother. Said she'd heard about my awakening. Mom had informed her. Given permission to personally oversee my training. I sparkled. What rank was my talent? Proudly puffed out my chest. SS+. Aren't I amazing? She chuckled. Yes, I was. Unlike most people, she didn't overreact. Very surprised, but she'd spent decades on battlefields. Knew how to control emotions. Still, SS+ talent. Even for her, that was astonishing. Talent was absolute. Once awakened, could never be changed. At least that's what the world believed. Rumors of forbidden experiments to artificially increase talent existed. But every experiment ended the same. Subjects lost sanity. Bodies twisted into monsters. Mind shattered. Such research became humanity's greatest taboo. Astrid understood talent's value, which is why she felt proud. I wasn't just the young master. I was one of the children she'd watched grow up. Considered family. Warm smile. You done well, Gray. I'm proud of you. Made me smile more than expected. Said I'd work even harder. She nodded. Then got serious. Talent was only the starting point. Open the door. but only effort determined how far you walked. Knew she didn't need to remind me. Nodded firmly. Wouldn't disappoint her. She smiled. Because I was gray starlight. And because I was family. Those simple words filled my heart with warmth. After training, we headed to the kitchen. Our routine. I grabbed glasses while Amy got drinks. Asked Astrid what she wanted. Orange juice. Got it. Astrid watched us with a gentle smile. Said we'd grown even closer while she was away. Then remembered. Starting tomorrow, she'd take over my training. Needed to know my affinities to prepare the right plan. Told her 3. Ice. Darkness. Space. Puffed out my chest. Aren't I amazing? But Mom said absolutely no space until F rank. Astrid froze. 3 affinities? Space 2? Even she looked surprised. After a pause, she smiled. Said I outdid myself. Mom must have been very happy. Looked at Amy. You two are extraordinary. Expression softened. Truly happy. Had watched us grow up. Seeing us get stronger made her happier than she could imagine. Amy came back with a tray. Grape juice for me. Apple for herself. Orange for Astrid. Smiled proudly. Of course Gray was amazing. He was her little brother. I rolled my eyes. What did that have to do with anything? My talent didn't come from having such an annoying sister. Amy crossed her arms. Obviously it did. At least half my greatness came from having an incredible big sister. Where'd she get that logic? Common sense. No, it isn't. Astrid laughed. 7 months since she'd last seen us. Now drinking juice while we argued over something ridiculous. Felt like home. Astrid got serious. Starting tomorrow, she'd officially take over my training. Looked at me. Prepare yourself. Wouldn't go easy just because I was cute. Chill down my spine. Those words sounded terrifying. Next morning we arrived at training. Astrid already waiting. Arms folded, hair swaying in the breeze. Faint smile. 3 minutes late. Didn't dare take it lightly. Sorry. Together. I grabbed a clips. Amy summoned her katana. Astrid nodded. Good. Let's begin. Amy would continue foundation training. Then turn to me. First official day. Before teaching anything she needed to know my current level. Show me your swordsmanship. Unsheathed Eclipse. Astrid's eyes lingered. Beautiful weapon. Suited me. Named it Eclipse. She smiled. Let's see if its owner deserves such a name. Stepped into position. Demonstrated everything Mom taught me. Every slash, cut, thrust, and footwork pattern. Focused on every movement. Astrid watched silently. Only after I finished did she nod. Very good. Foundation solid. Movement smooth. I grinned. Worked really hard. She flicked my forehead. Ow. Don't let it go to your head. Foundation excellent. But body still weak. Movements wasted too much strength. And sword had no killing intent. Got serious immediately. Astrid nodded. Good. At least I knew how to listen. Pointed to center. Today no flashy techniques. Blinked. Why not? Because techniques were meaningless without proper movement. A swordsman who couldn't move was just a target. Drew her sword. Before learning to kill an enemy, had to learn to avoid being killed. Pointed blade at me. Cool me. You want me to attack? Shook her head. No. Next instant she vanished. My pupils shrank. Tap. A finger touched my forehead. Hadn't even seen her move. Stared in disbelief. First lesson. Never take your eyes off your opponent. Amy burst out laughing. Gray, my face was priceless. Puffed out my cheeks. Just wait. One day, I'd surprise both of them. And just like that, my training under Astrid began. Told Astrid I wanted to focus on darkness today. Also needed to improve swordsmanship, but didn't want to rely on someone else's style forever. Wanted to create my own. Astrid approved. Ambitious goal. Said we'd start with magic since my mind was already on it. Extended my right hand. Dark mana gathered. Way heavier than ice. Moved sluggishly, almost resisting. Shaped it into a sphere, compressed, elongated into a short spear. Aimed at a dummy and threw. Thud. Unlike yesterday, it didn't collapse on impact. Stayed intact briefly before dispersing into black mist. Shallow dent. It worked. Actually worked. Started experimenting. Dark spheres. Spears. Needles. Blades. Mist clouds. Most failed. Some collapsed before forming. Others consumed too much mana. Some exploded into smoke. But every failure taught something. Control got smoother. Mana consumption dropped. After half an hour, Astrid finally spoke. What was I trying to accomplish? Answered honestly. The spell I really wanted required darkness and space. Knew I wasn't ready for space yet. So improving darkness control first would make it easier to stabilize later. Astrid was silent, then nodded. Not a bad way of thinking. But don't rush. Space was unpredictable. Even the strongest mages treated it with extreme caution. As long as I was only developing concepts and not forcing space mana, she didn't see a reason to stop. Tapped her sword hilt. She was right here. If anything got dangerous, she'd stop it. Told me to pursue my path. Those words gave me confidence. Astrid understood the family could protect me now, but that wouldn't last forever. One day, I'd have to protect people I cared about with my own strength. She never discouraged that. Instead, quietly supported it. Hours passed. Dark mana flowed through my hands repeatedly. Each attempt smoother. Each failure revealed another mistake. Then a notification. Darkness control, F. Long breath. Finally. Took over 2 hours. Immediately felt the difference. Darkness wasn't awkward anymore. Mana obeyed naturally. Spells cost less. Shapes stayed stable longer. Sat down to rest. Mind exhausted. Another idea surfaced. Mana strengthened spells. Could strengthen my body. Circulated mana through my right arm. Muscles got stronger. Lighter. But mana dispersed. Failed. Tried both arms. Strengthening returned for seconds, then collapsed. Dull pain in muscles. Astrid walked over. Asked what I was doing. Explained. Could mana strengthen my body? Her eyes widened. Body reinforcement. Nodded. Most martial artists eventually learned this. But it wasn't easy. Mana wasn't meant to stay inside muscles. It naturally wanted to flow. Had to circulate continuously through the whole body, maintaining perfect balance. Too much damaged muscles. Too little was meaningless. Hardest part wasn't strengthening. It was maintaining stability. So that's why it kept collapsing. Resumed practicing. Again and again. Sometimes legs stronger while arms weakened. Sometimes mana leaked. Sometimes whole flow collapsed after a second. Hours passed. Sweat everywhere. Genuine strain on muscles. Even 5 seconds was hard, but couldn't stop smiling. This wasn't flashy. It was the foundation every martial artist relied on. Day after day, 5 seconds became 10. 10 became 20. Eventually nearly a minute. Then one morning, everything changed. Mana flowed, and something felt different. No resistance. No instability. Moved naturally like blood through veins. Muscles strengthened. Bones sturdier. Senses sharper. Not forcing it. Body had finally accepted it. Notification. Body reinforcement F. Froze. Did it. Clench my fist. No explosion. No power surge. Just quiet strength. Control. Harmony. After nearly a week of failures, I'd created my second self-developed skill. Unlike elemental control, this wasn't tied to a specific element. But it had become one of my most important skills. Without it, my swordsmanship would never reach full potential. Everything built on this foundation. Dismissed the notification. Thoughts drifted to the spell I truly wanted to create. The one that inspired all this training. After nearly a week of training, I was finally ready to try the spell I'd been obsessing over. Inspired by a concept from my previous life. Darkness. Space. My mana core resembled a tiny black hole. Darkness gave it stability. Space gave it attraction. If I could imitate that, I might create a spell on the same principle. Not a real black hole. A weak imitation I could control. Sat cross-legged. Dark mana gathered above my palm. Wrapped space around the darkness. Darkness became the stable core. Space carried one property. Attraction. Slowly rotated the two together. Compress. Rotate. Stabilize. Exactly like the vortex inside my mana core. Bang. Spell exploded. Blood from my nose. Instant headache. Astrid appeared immediately. Told me to stop. Said I was forcing my space affinity too much and could seriously injure my soul. Told her I knew my limits. She stared for several seconds, then sighed. Called me stubborn, but trusted my judgment. Said she'd stop me if I went too far. Tried again. Failure. Again. Failure. Again. Failure. Darkness stabilized the structure, but space kept rejecting it. Hours passed. Sweat soaked my clothes. Head splitting. But I was close. On my 32nd attempt, everything aligned. Darkness, stable core. Space wrapped perfectly. The tiny vortex rotated on its own. Mana collapsed inward. A tiny black sphere appeared above my palm. No bigger than a marble. Air distorted. Dust drifted toward it. Pebbles rolled closer. The attraction wasn't powerful, but unmistakable. 3 seconds later, the sphere disappeared. Knees gave out. Every drop of mana nearly gone. Then a notification. I created my first original skill. Devour F. Unique skill. It would grow alongside its user. Grin spread across my face. I actually did it. Astrid asked what that was. Said she'd felt a strange attraction. Not ordinary gravity. Smiled proudly. My first original skill. Devour. She raised an eyebrow. Said it wasn't complete yet. Still extremely weak. But one day, it had become one of my strongest. She smiled. Knowing me, she didn't doubt that. Amy came rushing over. She'd sensed the disturbance. Never felt mana like that before. Turned to Astrid. Fire and ice. Fire wouldn't work. Turned to Amy. She had lightning. Asked her to attack me. G-rank lightning, but keep it weak. She folded her arms. 3 years controlling lightning. Could adjust output perfectly. I took a dramatic step back. Please don't accidentally kill your little brother. Bonk. She flicked my forehead. Even if the experiment failed, she wouldn't let me get hurt. Amy asked what I created. A combination skill. Darkness and space. Combining them already? Just needed to test my theory. Amy raised her hand. Lightning gathered. A small bolt crackled. Ready? Whenever you are. Here I come. At that exact moment, I activated Devour. Activated Devour the moment Amy released her lightning. The bolt was pulled forward like an invisible force had grabbed it. A tiny black vortex formed in front of my hand, barely bigger than my palm. Space created the attraction. Darkness stabilized it. The instant the lightning hit the vortex, it disappeared. Not exploded, just consumed. And something flowed back into my mana core. Pure mana. Refined. Compatible. Like my core had reconstructed the absorbed energy into something I could use. It really worked. No explosion. No scorch marks. Nothing. Grinned at Amy and Astrid. It could absorb magical attacks and convert the mana into my own. Right now, that's all it could do. But I had a feeling it had become much greater. Amy's eyes sparkled. So if someone threw magic at me, I just ate it? Laughed loudly. That was cheating. Astrid didn't laugh. Said it was an extremely dangerous skill. Voice calm and measured. The voice of someone who'd spent years on battlefields. If this skill kept evolving, it could become one of the greatest nightmares for every mage. Imagine fighting someone whose spells never reach their target. Every attack only replenished my mana. That wasn't merely powerful. It was oppressive. Amy stopped laughing. Even she could imagine how terrifying that would be. Astrid said, fortunately, I was still too weak to bring out its true potential. Don't get overconfident. Asked how I come up with it. Said I based it on my mana core. It continuously absorbed and refined mana, so I wondered if I could recreate that principle. Space created the attraction. Darkness stabilized it. Combined both affinities. That was true. Mostly. I just left out the part about remembering the concept from my previous life. Astrid said incredible. Genuine admiration. Never heard of anyone creating a spell by observing their own mana core. Amy grinned proudly. Her little brother really was amazing. Then another thought hit me. Could I enter a dungeon after reaching F rank? Test Devour against monsters? Astrid answered immediately. No, not without the matriarch's permission. If she secretly let me go, she'd be the first one punished. Amy laughed. Mom would destroy us. Nodded. I'd ask Mom properly. Time for sword training. Drew Eclipse. A deep crimson glow spread across the blade. The obsidian edge seemed to devour the surrounding light. Elegant. Beautiful. Deadly. Astrid examined it. Excellent craftsmanship. Asked about my swordsmanship. Said I'd practice basics before awakening. Beginner sword mastery at 98%. But Mother's techniques were only foundations. Wanted to create my own style. Good ambition, but couldn't build a castle without a solid foundation. Showed her my foundation. Swung through the sequence. Horizontal slash. Vertical cut. Diagonal strike. Reverse slash. Thrust. Step. Pivot. Turn. Every movement flowed into the next. Astrid watched every detail, then started correcting. Relax your shoulders. Grip too tight. Don't force the sword. Guide it. Better. Weight shifted too early. Widen your stance. Good. Every correction concise and accurate. Felt like polishing rough metal into a blade. Minutes became hours. Gradually, unnecessary movements disappeared. Eclipse started feeling lighter. Not because the sword changed, but because my body was learning to move with it. At some point, I stopped thinking about every motion. My body just moved. Fluidly. Astrid gave a small nod. Now we were getting somewhere. I was improving, but told me not to misunderstand. What I was improving wasn't my swordsmanship. It was my foundation. Foundation came first. Technique came later. Mastery came after countless battles. Nodded. Meanwhile, Amy kept practicing nearby. Astrid corrected her too. Despite teaching both of us, she never seemed distracted. Noticed every mistake. Watching her made me understand why Mother trusted her so much. She understood strength. Eventually my arms got heavy. Palms stung. Said that was enough. Cleaned Eclipse and secured it. Thanked Astrid. She smiled. Said it was her duty. Then added she'd been the one who requested permission to become my instructor. From the very beginning. Ruffle my hair. Natural talent only determined where you began. It didn't decide where you ended. The strongest swordsmen weren't the most talented. They were the ones who refused to stop. Nodded. I wouldn't stop. Asked how much today's training improved me. Grinned. Was about to check. Status. I'd ranked up. Finally F rank. Technically F rank minus. Still a genuine breakthrough. Only a little over a week since awakening. Physical attributes improved. Mana core stronger. Created body reinforcement. And devour. My first original skill. Astrid asked how much progress. Reached F rank. Her eyebrows rose. So soon? Not shocked, just pleasantly surprised. Congratulations. I'd officially stepped into the world of true awakeners. Amy came running. Congratulated me, then ruffled my hair without permission. Puffed out my cheeks. She laughed. So it was my reward. Astrid said reaching F rank wasn't my greatest achievement today. I'd improved fundamentals, created my own skill, and learned how to think. Most people only imitated, copied spells, followed paths others created. But I observed, analyzed, then created. That was far more valuable than ranking up. Hadn't thought about it that way. To me, I was just trying things that sounded interesting. Astrid laughed, told me to keep doing what I'd been doing. As long as I didn't become arrogant, she believed I'd surpass all of them. Amy nodded. Of course. I was her little brother. Sighed. What did that have to do with her? Everything. If her big sister wasn't so amazing, would I have grown up this awesome? Didn't make any sense. Astrid watched us argue. Amused sigh. We really were siblings. All three of us laughed. For a brief moment, there were no monsters. No future disasters. Only family. Only peace. Quietly looked toward the sky. I'd become stronger. Not by much, but one step at a time. Clench my fist. F rank. Only the beginning. One day, I'd master ice. Darkness. Space. Forge my own swordsmanship. Create countless original skills. Become powerful enough that no one could threaten the people I loved. Because this time I wasn't following fate. I was creating it myself. So now I was finally an F ranker. At tonight's dinner, I planned to ask Mother for permission to enter a low-ranked dungeon. All my training had been inside the estate. It had helped build a foundation, but no amount of practice could replace real combat. With training over, I sat on a bench near Amy's training area. Astrid kept instructing her, while occasionally giving me extra pointers. But after today's mana practice and darkness experiments and body reinforcement and swordsmanship, every part of my body, and especially my mind, felt completely drained. Lean back. Eyelids grew heavier. The rhythmic clang of Amy's sword was almost relaxing. Without realizing it, I drifted off. About an hour later, Amy finished. Noticed me sleeping soundly. Her expression softened. She quietly signaled Astrid not to make noise and sat beside me. Watched my sleeping face for several seconds. Then a gentle smile. Said I looked peaceful, voice barely above a whisper. Astrid agreed. Said I'd always been adorable and kind. Amy nodded. Said I'd changed after that accident. Became more attached to Mother and her. Always wanted to spend time with us. A small laugh. Honestly, it made it impossible not to enjoy being around me. Then her smile faded. But she knew why I worked so hard. I was afraid. Afraid one day I'd become a burden. Before the accident, I'd been carefree. But after everything, I started believing that staying weak meant holding everyone back. Said she didn't like me thinking that way. But it had also helped me mature. That's why they supported me. She'd become stronger too. If something happened, she'd be the one protecting me. Brushed hair from my face. Said I was the most precious person in her life. No schemes. No hidden motives. I only wanted affection from the people I loved. How could anyone not love someone like me? Astrid nodded. Said I felt things deeply. Gave my whole heart when I cared. That was both my greatest strength and weakness. If I ever trusted the wrong person, I'd suffer more than most. But I understood that. That's why I chose carefully. Amy asked Astrid to carry me to my room. Astrid lifted me gently. Even asleep, I leaned toward her warmth. Amy couldn't help smiling. They quietly left the training grounds. Every servant they passed silently stepped aside. Nobody wanted to disturb my sleep. It wasn't fear. It was genuine affection. Many servants had worked for other noble families where they were treated as disposable. Instead, here they were treated like people. The matriarch never abused authority. Amy always greeted them politely. I smiled at every servant and thanked them. Over time, respect became admiration. Admiration became loyalty. Astrid carried me to my room. A maid quietly opened the door. The room was immaculate. Simple, elegant decorations. Portraits of Mother. Amy. The three of us together. Amy pulled back the blanket. Astrid lowered me carefully and adjusted my position. Amy pulled the blanket over me. For a few moments, they just watched me sleep. Then Amy patted my head. Sleep well, Gray. They quietly left, closing the door softly behind them. After leaving my room, Amy and Astrid headed to the kitchen. Amy told the head chef I was still sleeping. Keep lunch warm. Don't prepare it until I woke up. Since Mother was usually busy with work during lunch, Amy was effectively in charge. The chef bowed. As you wish, young lady. Amy smiled. Thank you. Back with Astrid, she tilted her head. Asked if she wanted something to drink. She was going to have grape juice. Astrid thought for a moment, then smiled. Grape wine. Amy laughed. Then she'd have to get it herself. Amy and I usually prepared our own drinks before training. It was one of our little routines. Astrid chuckled. You two really had a lot of little routines together. Amy nodded proudly. Of course. He was her little brother. A maid served Astrid grape wine, while Amy poured herself chilled grape juice. The atmosphere was peaceful. Amy told Astrid everything that had happened while she'd been away. My awakening. My training. The skills I created. Even my habit of constantly experimenting with magic. Astrid listened, attentively asking questions and smiling in amusement. Every story confirmed the same thing. I wasn't just talented. I genuinely loved learning. Nearly an hour later, I slowly opened my eyes. Stared at the ceiling. My room? Memories gradually returned. After training, I've been waiting for Amy to finish. Then I fell asleep. Looked down at the blanket covering me and smiled helplessly. Astrid carried me here. Sat up, still wearing sweaty training clothes. Definitely needed a shower. Warm water washed away the sweat and exhaustion. Felt completely refreshed after. Changed into clean, casual clothes and stretched. Much better. Almost immediately my stomach growled loudly. Starving. Laughed awkwardly and left my room. Spotted a maid in the hallway. She bowed politely. Good afternoon, young master. Asked where Amy was. The maid answered immediately. Young lady was in her room. Hadn't eaten lunch yet. Said she wanted to wait until I woke up. Couldn't help smiling. She waited for me. Sometimes my sister really spoiled me. Thanked her and headed straight for Amy's room. Knocked. Come in. Amy looked up from her book. Saw me and a mischievous smile appeared. Sleeping prince finally woke up? Did I meet a beautiful princess in my dreams? Roll my eyes. What princess? I was just sleeping. She giggled, said I looked pretty comfortable, sighed dramatically. Sorry for making her wait. Let's go eat. I was starving. Amy stood up. It was all right. She wasn't very hungry after drinking juice with Astrid. Stretched lazily. But now she was hungry too. She was wearing a simple light blue dress. No jewels. No elaborate decorations. Just simple elegance. Yet somehow that simplicity only made her beauty stand out more. I honestly doubted there was anything she couldn't look beautiful wearing. She noticed me staring. What? Nothing. Immediately looked away. She narrowed her eyes suspiciously. You're acting weird. I'm not. You definitely are. She poked my forehead. Come on. Let's eat before you faint from hunger. Laughed. Lead the way, sis. By the time we reached the dining room, the servants had everything ready. The head chef greeted us with a bow. Lunch was simple but delicious. Fresh bread, roasted chicken, vegetable soup, light salad, freshly squeezed juice. Exactly the kind of meal we usually enjoyed after training. I immediately started eating with enthusiasm. Amy laughed. You really were starving. Swallow my food before answering. I trained all morning. I deserve this. She giggled. I supposed I did. After a few minutes, Amy spoke first. What was my plan now that I'd reached F rank? Thought for a moment. Tonight I was going to ask Mother if I could enter a low-rank dungeon. Amy wasn't surprised. Thought I'd say that. Nodded. I'd built a decent foundation. But no matter how much I trained here, I wouldn't gain real combat experience. Needed to fight actual monsters. Amy rested her chin on one hand. That was true. But don't rush. Dungeons weren't training grounds. They were dangerous. Smiled reassuringly. I knew. I'd only go if Mother allowed it. And Astrid would probably come with me anyway. Amy nodded in satisfaction. Good. Otherwise, she'd have to drag me back herself. Laughed. I believed her. Conversation shifted to training. I explained some theories about elemental combinations. Amy listened, carefully asking questions and sometimes offering suggestions based on her own experience. Neither of us realized how much time passed. Lunch ended. Amy stood up first. She'd continue practicing mana control that afternoon. Asked about me. Stretched comfortably. Said I'd actually rest. She blinked. Me? Resting? Nodded seriously. Mother always said rest was part of training. She stared at me for several seconds, then burst into laughter. Never thought she'd hear those words from me. Puffed out my cheeks. I knew how to rest. Sure I did. She patted my head. See you at dinner. After Amy left, I stayed sitting alone. The dining room went quiet. Outside the window, warm sunlight bathed the gardens. A gentle breeze swayed the flowers. Everything felt calm, peaceful, ordinary. Walked toward the window and looked outside. Training, family, peace. It was an ordinary day, yet somehow those ordinary days had become the most precious thing in my life. In my previous life, I'd never truly appreciated moments like these. Now, having been given a second chance, I finally understood their value. Quietly clenched my fist. No matter what the future held, no matter how dangerous this world became, I would protect these peaceful days. Protect Mother. Protect Amy. Become strong enough that no one could take this happiness away. Not fate. Not destiny. Not anyone. This life. This family. Was worth fighting for. Small smile appeared on my face. Turned away from the window and walked back toward my room. Tomorrow my training would continue. After lunch, Amy and I spent the afternoon playing games. Although calling them games was questionable, because whenever Amy started losing, she discovered a new strategy that always benefited her. She moved twice. Amy crossed her arms. Only losers complain. She literally changed the rules. And she won. So they were official. What kind of logic? Yet seeing her smug expression made me laugh. This was normal for us. Small arguments. Endless teasing. But I treasured those moments. After another unfair defeat, I gave up. Went to the kitchen for cooking practice. But today I wasn't practicing ordinary food. Mother's birthday. She rarely celebrated it. Most years, she just worked all day. This time I'd make something for her. A cake. With my own hands. Just imagining her surprised smile made me smile. Cleaned up and returned to my room. Tonight, I needed to ask Mother about dungeons. If she refused, I wouldn't complain. Meant I wasn't ready yet. Evening. Dinner. Mother and Amy already there. Took my usual seat. After a few minutes, I prepare myself. Mama wanted to ask, but Amy interrupted. Gray created an amazing spell today. Even Astrid praised him. It was like a black vortex. Swallowed her lightning completely. Mother's expression changed. Not fear. Interest. Amy leaned forward. Converts attacks into mana. Could absorb from enemies too. Too unfair. Couldn't help smiling. Mother asked what elements. Straightened up. Combination of darkness and space. Explained how my mana core naturally absorbed mana. Wondered if I could recreate that. Ice didn't fit, but darkness and space worked. Not very powerful yet, but lots of potential. Really outdid myself this time. Mother smiled. Her little genius worked hard. The idea was impressive, but then a chill ran down my spine. Mother still smiling. Yet I felt danger. However, Gray. My smile froze. She told me not to use Space Affinity until F rank. Cold sweat. Sorry, Mom. Got impatient. Had Astrid supervise, but should have listened. Mother sighed. Just don't do it again. Didn't want me hurting myself, but admitted my progress was impressive. Most people spent their lives learning other spells. Very few could create their own. But before I could celebrate. However, I was still not entering a dungeon. Smile disappeared. But no, not entering a dungeon yet. Looked at her in disbelief. But Mom, I was F rank. Improved everything and created my own skill. Astrid would be there. Mother shook her head. Voice calm. My rank wasn't the problem. Blinked. Then what? She looked directly at me. My perception. Strength, speed, magic power. All important. But meaningless if I couldn't notice danger before it reached me. Monsters didn't fight like training partners. They hid. Waited. Ambushed. Attacked when I was distracted. I got quiet. Because she was right. During training, Astrid and Amy fought fairly. Gave me chances. Monsters wouldn't. A single mistake in a dungeon could mean death. Without a perception skill, I was just a powerful target waiting to be attacked. She wasn't underestimating me. She was protecting me. Nodded. I understood. But now that I could safely use space, I thought I could create a perception skill. Mother raised an eyebrow. Already had ideas. If I could sense the surrounding space, it'd help me understand everything around me. Also had an idea for a movement skill, but still too weak. Mother knew I didn't make empty promises. Finally nodded. If I created a proper perception skill, she'd allow a dungeon. Only G rank though. Nothing higher. Clench my fist. Fine. I'd create the best one. Amy spoke up. Then she was going too. If I entered a dungeon, she'd accompany me. Astrid wouldn't always be able to protect me. And her rank wasn't too far above G rank. She'd protect me. Mother looked at her silently. Knew how much Amy cared. Finally smiled. Very well. But don't underestimate dungeons. Entrusting my safety to her. Amy's smile got brighter. Leave it to her. Even if something happened to her, she wouldn't let anything happen to me. Then quickly added she doubted she'd need to. I was strong too. Protested. Don't make it sound like I needed protection. Amy laughed. I was her little brother. Always someone to protect. That's not how it works. Mother watched us and smiled softly. We really were siblings. Mom, she started it. See? Blaming her already. A true little brother should accept his sister's kindness. That wasn't kindness. Mother covered her mouth, hiding laughter. Her laughter was precious. Rare. She carried so many responsibilities. But in moments like this, she wasn't a matriarch. She was simply our mother. After calming down, Mother looked at me. Becoming stronger was important. But don't forget why I wanted that strength. Power itself had no meaning. A sword could protect or hurt. What mattered was the person holding it. She believed I understood. Nodded. Didn't want strength to stand above everyone. Simply wanted to protect the people important to me. Mother smiled. Good. Then nothing to worry about. Amy asked if Mom wasn't worried before. Of course she was. Talented people often made mistakes believing they could overcome everything. Worried I'd become too confident. Wouldn't. She knew. That's why she trusted me. Dinner continued. Amy complained about my skill being unfair. Years on lightning control, and I just created something that ate attacks. I was a genius. Don't get arrogant. Was crying when Astrid corrected my stance. Was not crying, just concentrating. Mother said maybe Amy should use ice magic on me every morning. Both froze. Mom, it would improve my resistance. Amy laughed. Even Mom agreed. The three of us laughed. No pressure. No expectations. Just family. After dinner, I walked through the hallway, smiling. Good day. Created Devour. Improved swordsmanship. Reached F rank. Had permission for a dungeon once I created my perception skill. So many things waiting. Changed into sleeping clothes. First I needed that perception skill. Then a real fight. Not training. A true fight against monsters. Couldn't wait. Sleep took over. Tomorrow I'd continue becoming stronger. One day I'd protect everything precious. Closed my eyes and fell asleep. Bright grin as I walked to the center of the training ground. Focused on space affinity. Unlike ice or darkness, space felt strange. Distant. Elusive. Like reaching for something that wasn't there. Ice responded with a familiar chill. Darkness like an endless abyss. But space simply existed. Everywhere and nowhere. Gathered mana and tried to manipulate the space around me. Before any advanced spell, I needed space control. Without it, every future idea stayed imagination. Space storage. Blink. Perception skills. Movement techniques. Head overflowing with possibilities. But first I needed a foundation. Guided my mana. For a brief moment space responded. It was working. Then crack. Structure collapsed. Sharp headache. Staggered. Astrid appeared. Hand on my shoulder. Mana eased the pain. That failed faster than expected. Astrid snorted. If space were easy, everyone would use it. Then got serious. One of the rarest affinities. Many who awakened it died, couldn't control their power. Survivors were elites among elites. Smiled bitterly. No pressure. Tried again. Second failed. Third lasted longer. Fourth almost stabilized. Fifth distorted space violently. By the 10th attempt, sweat covered my forehead and half my mana was gone. Still didn't stop. Every failure taught something. Shape wrong. Mana flow unstable. Space not anchored. Little by little I corrected every mistake. Astrid watched. Most people would have given up. I was different. Every failure was another answer. Another step forward. Never impatient. Never cursed my luck. Calmly analyzed before trying again. On the 12th attempt something changed. A tiny distortion above my palm. Air twisted. Space folded inward. A crack no larger than a marble appeared before disappearing. A notification. Space control F. I did it. Smile spread across my face. The skill was only F rank, but it meant everything. Finally, a genuine connection with space. Astrid patted my head. Good work. For my first day, that was absurd progress. Space control wasn't the goal. It was the foundation. Everything I wanted to create would be built on it. Recovered some mana and sat right back down. Astrid raised an eyebrow. Already? Now I wanted to test space storage. Understood how space rings worked. Amy owned one. A pocket of space connected through mana. If a ring could do that, I could too. At least that was my theory. Closed my eyes. Imagined creating an entirely separate space. A small room disconnected from reality, where time barely flowed. My place. Pour mana into it. Slowly the space began to form. For a moment, it stayed stable. Then crack. Shattered. Frowned. Again. Second lasted longer. Third failed immediately. Fourth nearly succeeded. Hours passed. Mana emptied and recovered over and over. Never considered giving up. Walls not stable. Connection too weak. Space needed anchoring. Each flaw brought me closer. Astrid watched. No longer surprised. Now thoughtful. Most mages learned from generations before them. I created my own. Failed. Adjusted. Improved. Failed again. My process resembled an experienced researcher rather than an 8-year-old. I was completely absorbed. Only the image of that small room. Its walls. Its boundaries. Its connection to me. Around my 20th attempt, something clicked. The mana that had resisted me countless times went calm. Image crystal clear. Every part fit perfectly. For the first time, the space remained intact. Froze. I did it. Could feel it. Somewhere beyond reality, a tiny, independent space existed, and I could access it, not with my eyes, but my mind, like a room inside my consciousness. Couldn't see it, but knew it existed, knew where it was, instinctively knew where anything placed inside would be, like an extra sense. Inspected my storage. Wasn't large, nowhere near high-quality space rings. But that didn't matter. Only the beginning. More importantly, the space wasn't fixed. It could grow. As my understanding deepened, expanding it should become possible. A grin spread across my face. This was exactly what I'd hoped for. Another notification. Space storage F. Growth type skill. Current capacity 25 cubic meters. Grin spread across my face. Finally, my first space affinity skill. Entirely my own creation. Couldn't help laughing. Wasn't stupid enough to test with Eclipse, though. Even tiny failure chance wasn't worth risking my sword. Needed something expendable. Walked to Astrid. Asked for something worthless. She blinked. Looked confused. Realizing how that sounded, I waved both hands. Wait. Something that wouldn't matter if lost. Created space storage and needed to test it. If something valuable failed to retrieve, that'd be disaster. Understanding appeared. Small smile. Picked up a wooden practice sword. This should be fine. If it disappeared, forever no one would cry. Accepted it eagerly. Focused on the storage space. Still there. Could sense it clearly. Like a tiny room waiting beyond reality. Raised the sword. Formed a single thought. Store. Space rippled softly. The sword vanished. Eyes widened. It worked. At the same time, I instinctively felt the sword inside the storage. Like I placed it in a room, then closed the door. Nothing forced. Connection perfectly intact. Astrid's eyes narrowed. Told me to take it out. Focused again. Retrieve. Faint ripple. Space distorted for an instant. Then the sword reappeared like it had never left. It actually worked. Excitement exploded. Stored it again. Retrieved. Again. Again. Every attempt flawless. Astrid chuckled, watching me like a kid with a new toy. Asked if I realized how valuable this was. Blinked. Not really. Quiet sigh. Most people needed expensive space rings. Even low-quality ones cost a fortune. High-quality ones were treasures families would fight over. I just created a growth-type one from scratch. Its future value was impossible to predict. Could surpass ordinary rings one day. If people learned an 8-year-old created devour space control and growth-type space storage, in a week the kingdom would go insane. Amy walked over. Noticed the sword disappearing and reappearing. Wait. Eyes widened. Was that? Smiled proudly. Space storage. Her mouth fell open. I actually made one? Nodded. Didn't need a space ring anymore. Let me see. I stored the sword. It vanished. Retrieved it. Amy stared in disbelief. That was unfair. She had to beg Mom for years for a space ring. And I just made one. When she put it like that, it did sound unfair. A little? She pointed dramatically. I was a complete monster. Astrid laughed. Agreed. Ordinary common sense no longer applied to me. Was it really that ridiculous? They exchanged glances, then answered together. Yes. Blinked. Oh. Hearing them both say it together made me feel even prouder. Satisfied smile. Maybe creating my own skills really was far more difficult than I'd imagined. If so, countless possibilities were still waiting. And I intended to create every single one. After creating space storage, I decided to stop for the day. Astrid advised against pushing further. Overworking my mind would do more harm than good. So for once I listened. Sat beside the training field and waited for Amy. Fortunately stayed awake today. She finished and sheathed her katana. Finally she sighed. Chuckled. She sounded more tired than I was. Playful glare. That's because unlike someone she actually trained properly. Rolled her eyes. Mr. I accidentally fall asleep while waiting. Some battles weren't worth fighting. Amy looked at me. Come on, let's get something to drink. Grabbed juice and sat beneath a tree. Cold drink washed away fatigue. Gentle breeze. Peaceful. Amy glanced at me mischievously. How does it feel? 2 space skills in one day. Feeling proud? Maybe a little. She laughed. If she'd done that, she'd be bragging to everyone. Don't think Mother would appreciate that. Good point. Astrid said humility suited both of us. Amy puffed out her cheeks. She could be humble. Astrid and I exchanged a glance. Said nothing. Amy narrowed her eyes. What was that look? Nothing. We were bullying her. We all laughed. Returned to the mansion for lunch. Ate together since Mother was busy. Amy talked about sword training. I told her about space storage and how strange it felt to sense a separate pocket of space. She listened with curiosity. So I didn't actually see it? Shook my head. Felt more like instinct. Just knew it was there. Pretty amazing. After lunch, Amy challenged me to board games. As expected, she changed rules when losing. That doesn't count. She moved twice. Only losers complain. She literally changed the rules. And she won. So they were official. The logic of victory. After another unfair defeat, I surrendered. She cheated. Advanced strategy. One day, I'd beat her fairly. She'd look forward to that. Even if I won, she'd just invent another rule. Evening. Dinner. Mother and Amy already seated. Didn't want to keep my favorite people waiting. Amy grinned. I said things so naturally. Mother chuckled. Always been honest with my feelings. These meals together were irreplaceable. Mother asked about training. Amy explained her progress, then turned it to me. Gray created 2 new space skills today. Mother already heard from Astrid. One on my side. Explained about space control, then space storage. Was careful the whole time. Astrid supervised everything. Mother nodded. Glad. Relief in her eyes. She knew how dangerous space affinity was. Countless people injured or worse underestimating it. Some permanently damaged. Some lost control. Others simply disappeared. Compared to those stories, my progress went smoothly. Talent was important, but safety was far more important. New mom. Conversation drifted lighter. Amy complained about not needing a space ring. Had to wait years for hers. Mother said, don't become complacent. Growth-type skills required constant effort. Understood. Dinner ended. Stretched and yawned. Amy laughed. Already sleepy. Space was way harder than expected. So the genius finally found something difficult. Never said it was easy. She'd allow it. Thank you for your overwhelming generosity. Good night, Mom. Good night, Amy. Amy smiled. Good night, lazy little brother. I twitched. Mother laughed. Good night, son. Too tired to argue. Collapsed on a bed. Head hit pillow, and sleep claimed me instantly. Next morning woke at 6 as usual. Shower, dressed, and headed to dining. Breakfast passed peacefully. Chatted and laughed. After we headed to the training grounds. Cool morning air. Astrid already waiting. Amy went to her own training. I walked to the center. Today's objective. Space affinity. No matter how difficult, I enjoyed every moment. Most people found failures frustrating. I didn't. Every failure taught something. Every success opened another possibility. Space had quickly become one of my favorite affinities. Today I wanted to attempt something entirely new.